You better hope you don't get stopped for speeding. You'll get a donut, all right. And that's a look at the news this morning. All right, let's turn to WCVO for more complete news, the most comprehensive news right here on WAZU FM 90.
The Peoria City Council is set to approve a balanced budget for the next 2 fiscal years, 1 week ahead of schedule. At this week's brief special meeting, members had the first reading of an ordinance amendment that will keep stormwater utility fees flat for 2026 and 2027. Amendments added $2.5 million in revenue to the 2026 portion spending plan, while reducing expenses by $600,000. A vote on the budget is expected next week. Opening statements began today in the murder trial of a former sheriff's deputy charged with killing 36-year-old Sonia Massey in her Springfield home last year. The central question in this case is whether Sean Grayson acted in self-defense. Massey had called 911 to her home for help when Grayson shot her over a pot of boiling water on her stove. The prosecution told jurors Grayson killed Massey, quote, because he was mad at her. Grayson faces 3 counts of first-degree murder, 1 for each bullet fired. The trial was moved to Peoria County due to pre-trial publicity. The Washington City Council has approved establishing a new city leadership position, Deputy City Administrator. Alderperson John Blundy cast the lone vote against creating the position.
This is one of those, to me, that just kind of stands out right now. Is it's a nice, it'd be nice to have this, but I don't see it as a need that we really need right now.
The Deputy City Administrator will automatically become the Interim City Administrator if the City Administrator leaves or is fired. It's harvest season, and Governor J.B. Pritzker worries about Illinois soybean farmers because of President Trump's tariff-driven trade war with China.
It's abominable that the federal government is providing $20 billion to bail out the Argentine economy. That has allowed Argentina to now trade their soybeans with China. And we're talking about replacing almost all of what Illinois would have provided.
China bought $1.4 billion worth of soybeans from Illinois last year, but hasn't imported any in 2025. Instead, it's buying from Argentina, which just got a big bailout from the Trump administration, while Illinois farmers struggle to find a new buyer. I'm June Delahunty.
Well, we're not struggling here. We have sports with all the latest. Dr. Gene Sittler. And is there anything going on in the world of sports this week? It seems like
it was a bit dull, basically.
No, I'm not talking about the show. Oh, no. Yes, you were talking about the show.
Talking about
when
sports
you said
events.
Dull. He said
there were some hockey and NBA games yesterday, but everybody's kind of waiting for the World Series to start, which it will do tomorrow night.
Who's playing? I don't follow.
It's the Los Angeles Dodgers and the
Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh,
okay. I think the Dodgers will win in 5. What's your?
They have the pitching, and that could be the main factor.
And the best team money can buy.
Pretty
Their
much.
payroll is the highest in the major leagues.
Yeah, they have some of that payroll is kind of buried in delayed payments.
Compensation.
Like Shohei Ohtani signed that $700 million contract for 10 years. It should show $70 million for him this year, but he's actually delayed some of that so that it only shows him as, I think, 20 or 30 million on the payroll.
Oh yeah, boy, poor guy. How's he going to get along with that?
Makes sense to me.
So they avoid they have something called a luxury tax. They don't have a salary cap in baseball, but they have something called a luxury tax, meaning that if you exceed a certain number in payroll, you have to pay back some to the league that is then distributed among the other teams.
What does the government get out of that?
Well, they get their tax share.
I was going to say,
I
wonder what kind of a tax bracket would he be in? 40, 50, 60%? You have any idea?
No, right now, the highest tax bracket, I think, is still just 27 or 30% or something.
Yeah, that's too low. That's another reason to vote for that commie as mayor of New York.
I'm sure that'll be increased. But anyway.
Yes.
The sports that we did have yesterday, we'll start with the NFL because there is a game tonight, Thursday Night Football. It's the Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are 3.5-point favorites in that game.
Really?
Yep. It's in Los Angeles. Vikings 3-3 on the season. They've had some quarterback
issues, haven't they?
And Los Angeles Chargers 4-3 on the season. Chicago Bears, they've won 4 in a row. They're 4-2 now on the season. They'll play Sunday at noon in Baltimore against the Ravens. The Ravens were the heavy favorites to win the AFC North Division in that AFC, but they are off to a 1-5 start, partly due to a difficult schedule and a lot of injuries for them. They're still a good team, and they are 6.5-point favorites Sunday against the Bears. And in college football, Illinois moved back into the top 25 rankings, now at 23 in the AP Top 25. They play at Washington on Saturday, 2:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. Both teams 5-2 on the season. Washington is a 4.5-point favorite. I was surprised.
You don't buy that.
Yeah. I think Illinois got a good chance to win that game. Notre Dame is up to number 12 in the rankings. They have this week off after their win last week and against USC. That was their fifth win in a row after they lost those first 2 games. Their next game is Saturday, November 1st at Boston College. And, of course, baseball, the 121st World Series gets underway tomorrow night in Los Angeles. It's the Dodgers and Toronto Blue Jays, 7 p.m. on the Fox Network. The Dodgers list Blake Snell as their starter, and the Toronto Blue Jays list undecided as their starter.
What's his first name? Okay.
Undecided. Game 2 will be Saturday night. Dodgers strong favorites to win, basically 2-1 odds in favor of the Dodgers to win that series. NHL games last night. There were no games involving the Blackhawks or the Blues last night. Tonight it's the Blackhawks at the Tampa Bay Lightnings, and the St. Louis Blues host the Utah Mammoth.
That's an expansion team, isn't it?
Exactly, and I'm getting tired of these expansion teams dominating in their very first year. They are 5-2. They are a terrific team.
You remember when Las Vegas came in?
And Las Vegas came in, and was it the Seattle Kraken came in, and they've had winning seasons their first couple of years. Yeah, the draft rules, the expansion draft rules for these teams is way too generous. They could get really good goaltenders. Teams can only protect one goaltender. Nowadays, back in the old days, you had one goaltender, and they would play every game, basically. Well, now every team has 2 good goaltenders, so it guarantees that the expansion team is going to get a really good goaltender with NHL experience, and then they can only protect like 8 or 9 players.
It's designed to make them successful. They don't want the franchise to fold after 3 to 5 years because they're losers. So they penalize other teams like the Blackhawks, really like the Blues.
What it is, and it's just unfair because it deprives other teams that have spent millions and millions building a team trying to get into the playoffs, and here's a team that just waltzes into the playoffs. Well, Vegas has made it to the Stanley Cup final now, I think, a couple of times. They got to change that. Anyway, Peoria Rivermen, they won their first game last weekend over the Quad City Storm, and they play home games Friday and Saturday night against the Fayetteville Marksmen to continue their season. NBA got underway this week. Chicago Bulls played their first game last night and won 115-111 over the Detroit Pistons. Yeah, Bulls led by as much as 23 points in the second quarter, but Pistons made a big fourth quarter comeback, came all the way back to tie the game, but the Bulls held on to win 115-111. And speaking of basketball, Bradley's 25-26 season gets underway for real on Monday, November 3rd. That's that game down in Rock Hill, South Carolina, where they play St. Bonaventure in an event that's called the
basketball
opening day marathon or something like that. It's a televised event where there's games all day long. The Bradley game's at 10 o'clock in the morning on that Monday. But they do play an exhibition game tonight at Carver Arena against the St. Louis Billikens. Of course, you remember that.
That'll be a tough one for Bradley.
They were members of the
Missouri
Valley for many years, from I think about 1949 to 1974 or something like that.
Was Eddie Hickey the basketball coach for St. Louis then?
I don't remember Eddie Hickey's name. Of course, their star player was Ed McCauley. He played at St. Louis University from 45 to 49. Then he played in the the NBA for a few years. He started first with the Celtics and then with the St. Louis Hawks.
For 10 points, who was the Bradley player that played for the Boston Celtics? And his agent was
There are two of them.
The attorney.
I can name two of them. Steve Kuberski.
That's the
he
one
was
I
the
was thinking
transfer
of.
from Illinois when they got into trouble with that slush fund.
Yeah.
And then David Thirdkill was drafted
I
and
didn't-
played for the Celtics and won a ring in 1986 on
He
the Larry Bird
did.
team.
I didn't remember that.
In 1986, he won a championship ring with the Celtics, and then he was traded to the Phoenix Suns, and he finished his career playing overseas for many years.
Who was the attorney who?
Joe Napoli?
Joe Napoli. Very good. I can't stump the stumper.
That's a Bradley question. You're not going to stump me on
what
that.
do you-
And I know that.
BradleyFans.com, come on.
I
I know
it.
we're running into the,
I lost my head there for a moment.
we're running into the news, but I'm going to ask a trivia question. What is a billiken?
It's a bird. Am I right on that?
You know, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong.
Well, you don't have to say absolutely. When you're wrong. But by God, when you say
A billiken?
First of all, how many colleges are there that have the nickname Billiken?
3.
No, there's one. It's St. Louis
Well, I'm
University.
0 for 2.
Very unique.
Terribly wrong
Don't
again.
answer again.
Yeah, no. I'm going to stop
that
putting
might
my
be-
hand up
no,
in the air like I know the answer.
and
What is a
It's
billiken?
It's a part that goes, it hooks to the Fetzer screw in a,
What is a
Now you're just
billiken?
making it up.
Yeah.
Well, it's a mythical good luck creature that became a national sensation in the early 1900s after being created by an artist named Flores Press of Kansas City. Back in the early 1900s, people, I guess, didn't have enough to do, so they kind of
Yeah.
they kind of just got into these fads, and one of them was this billiken thing. Everybody wanted a little billiken charm because it supposedly brought good luck. It was produced by a company in Chicago that had the name the Billiken Company. It was marketed as a charm that held good luck. As I say, it became a national fad. Its connection to St. Louis was that there was, I think, a coach that had somewhat of a resemblance to this sort of
he looked like it?
chubby, short
That was
billiken
That was
creature.
Eddie
Starting to
Hickey.
describe me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now you said a creature. What did the creature look like? A bird? Did it look
No,
like a
not at all.
plane?
Was it like a dwarf?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
kind of
mon-
like
mon-
a funny
monkey-like
little
figure.
dwarf
Oh,
thing.
what kind of figure?
A monkey-like figure.
Monkey.
I guess
Or-
I could show you what
yeah.
the billiken looks like.
That
the
looks
same-
like Bradley's
It could be
mascot.
construed for that weird gargoyle look, but that's the St. Louis University billiken, and that's very similar to what this little charm looked like. It was a short little round, trying to be kind here, it's chubby little creature.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Looks
that's
like a malevolent dwarf.
Yeah.
yes.
Do we use the word dwarf anymore, though, Mr. Attorney?
Yeah, you
Well-
can't say midget.
You
Yeah,
can't
well,
say
no,
midget.
You can't say midget.
No.
You
You have to
Midget
say
is a
little
slur.
fella.
Midget
Dwarf
is a
is
slur.
okay. I think.
Yeah.
Dwarf is okay.
the technical term.
Little people is what they want to be
Yeah, little
called.
people.
Yeah, little people.
The new proper term.
You know, it's amazing how many little people were stars in movies.
Yeah.
Well, in The Wizard of Oz, there was a lot.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, R2D2 was actually a person inside the can there. That wasn't
That wasn't real?
animatronics. Yeah.
That wasn't real?
There was a
R2D2
small.
is not real?
There was a small guy in there.
Okay. Now you're going to tell me that Wookiee's not real.
Well, he was a much bigger guy. He couldn't fit into the R2D2 suit.
Okay. Name, Mr. Smarty Pants. Name the little guy who played baseball.
Eddie Gaudio.
You're close.
Eddie Goodell.
That's very good. Nice going. See how he worked
Yeah.
his
he
way
went
up
through
to
there.
the
He
right
thinks he's gonna get
until they made a connection of synapses in the
For those
brain.
who don't know what we're talking about, he was a midget that was hired by Bill Veeck.
No, he was a little fella,
No,
not a
no,
midget.
We're
Yeah.
not politically correct.
I know
Okay.
that for the,
He was hired right by
the
Bill
Yankees,
Veeck.
right?
It was
No, for
the
the-
Cleveland Browns who.
No,
Bill
St.
Veeck
Louis,
was
St.
the-
Louis Browns.
Was the owner of St. Louis Browns.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
That's a
and
football team.
that was a terrible answer.
Cleveland.
Um,
Well, it wasn't. I blew one.
And he brought him out and loaded, right?
And
He hired him and brought him in, yes, to get a walk, and he did. He walked.
and guess
Four
who?
straight pitches.
Guess who was there to see that?
Your brother.
Me.
Oh, you.
Dad took me
You
down
saw that
to
live?
Sportsman's
What,
Park.
was your
It was
brother with
known.
you there?
I don't know where my brother was. He was doing other things, but
I was right. He was with
it
you.
was at Sportsman's Park, is what it was called in St.
Yeah,
Louis.
St. Louis
He
Sportsman's
came to bat, walked on 4 pitches,
Yep.
and named the other legendary person who played in that game that we saw came in as a pitcher.
Dizzy Dean?
No. He was an African American. He was a black pitcher.
Satchel Paige.
Satchel Paige, right.
Really?
And no one ever knew how old he was, but many thought he was in his 50s when he was pitching in the major leagues.
Yeah, might
Yeah.
have been.
And what was the well-known characteristic about Bill Veeck?
Well, Bill Veeck had circulatory problems.
Yes.
He had an amputation
Right,
on
he had
one of his legs.
he had a wooden
And he
leg,
had a wooden leg, yeah.
Yeah. and he came to Peoria for the Sunday Morning League banquet and spoke and wowed everybody. He was a dynamic personality in the world of sports.
Yeah, he innovated a lot of things to please fans and to draw attention.
And he did.
He-
He didn't have a great winning record, but wasn't he owner of the White Sox
yeah,
for a while?
He bought the White Sox in the 1960s and developed the exploding scoreboard.
Yes.
He was also, unfortunately, kind of a negative thing. He was behind the demolition, what was it, Disco
Demolition, yeah.
Day.
Yeah.
Do you remember there was a doubleheader with the White Sox and Detroit
Was
Tigers?
Steve Dahl?
Yep, Steve Dahl.
Very
promoted
good.
it on the radio, and you could get in for $1 if you brought a disco record with you.
Right.
And so thousands, tens of thousands of people came to the game, and they weren't baseball fans. They were disco,
Yeah.
like radio
Yeah.
fans. And they all brought these records. They put them in a couple of huge dumpsters, brought them out onto the center of the field between the 2 games, finished the first game, and then they exploded them. And the fans went wild. The records went everywhere. The fans came out of the stands, mobbed the field.
Ruined the field.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
They tore up the sod, and they had to they had to forfeit the second game.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
They-
I remember that.
So the White Sox lost that.
White
second,
Sox,
yeah.
well, they ended up losing both. They lost
Yeah.
the first game too. But
Well,
they had to
they actually
forfeit
lost the
second
games
game,
and the
yeah.
field for them. You remember what year that was?
That was probably 1974 or something like that, maybe. Let me look that up.
5 or 6, maybe.
Yeah, when would disco? And yeah, Steve Dahl was the disc jockey.
Yeah.
He's still around.
Yeah.
Well, he was.
Disco.
Who was the other big name
79.
DJ on WLS for many
Larry
years?
Lujak.
Larry
Yeah,
Lujak, yeah.
Larry Lujak,
John
Clark
Records-
Weber
John
was
Records
another one.
Landecker.
Remember him?
Decker, yeah.
Bob Surratt.
Bob Surratt came a little bit later. Yeah, he was there.
Midday.
Well, who was the big name on WGN?
Oh, there was a Collins, wasn't it?
No, well, maybe later
I
on.
used to always listen to Tom
Wally
Collins
Phillips
or-
Wally
was
Phillips.
his name.
Wally Phillips, yes. Yes, that's
And he was the guy that used to do what I've picked up on and have been doing on this show since 2002. He would have voices, you know, and he'd reply
Yeah.
to it, or they would
Disco
just comment,
Demolition
wow,
there.
they're on the field is right.
Yeah, that's that what happened after the.
I wonder what that
explosion.
cost Bill Veeck to fix the field up.
He did have a near sellout for
Yeah.
for the crowd that night.
Yeah,
Well,
but
except
what,
how it
at
got in for a
$1 each,
Yeah.
he didn't make a lot of money, but, well, if you had 30,000, it's at least 30,000 bucks for that matter.
Sure.
All right, we're at the bottom of the hour, and then some, as a matter of fact.
Well, not really.
Uh,
Close.
Okay,
Half
well. Well, let's get into the news brought to you by the guy who knows business, Steve Sink. He is with PHX affiliates. He's been what is it, Roger? He's been a business broker for more than 20 years, and he knows business, and he can help your business if you want to sell it, if you want to buy one. And you can reach Steve today at 309-696-8508. Let's get into the news with Mike Tantino.
Very good. Thanks, Roger. The Jewish Federation of Peoria held its annual campaign kickoff fundraiser last night. Featured speaker was Lior Zisser Yogev of Detroit. Zisser talked about the October 7th, 2023 massacre of close to 1,200 Israelis in Gaza. 250 others were taken as hostages. Zisser describes the death of her brother, who died while fighting the terrorists. We're going to talk with Zisser a little later on this morning, following the 7:30 news. The shutdown continues after Democrats again blocked Republican senators' motions to reopen the government. That makes 12 times Republicans were unable to put federal workers back to work. Democrats refuse to negotiate unless Republicans meet their demands for health care subsidies. President Trump said there would be no discussion on anything until the Democrats first agree to allow federal agencies to reopen. The last vote was 54 to reopen and 46 to stay shut. It takes 60 yea votes to restart the government. Senate Majority Leader Republican Senator John Thune said that today he'll introduce legislation to pay those federal employees who have had to work during the shutdown. Democrats say they'll introduce a measure to pay federal employees who've been laid off and are doing nothing.
I don't understand how that is a winning strategy.
Well,
why pay employees who have been laid off at the same rate and agreement for those who are actually working? It's a form of welfare.
Yeah, well, Roger, I'm all ears to hear the rationale behind
Yeah.
that. Well, next week, Republicans will introduce standalone bills to pay our troops and air traffic controllers. A Senate Democrat candidate is struggling to exercise his affection to the Nazi governments of World War II. Graham Plattner, running for the U.S. Senate from Maine, claims the tattoo on his chest no longer represents his political beliefs, but instead of having it removed, Plattner just had the tattoo changed.
Yeah, he had redesigned, didn't he?
Yeah, well, that's because
He likes to get stuck with a needle.
I guess, but I mean, hey, it costs too much to have it removed. And
Yes,
I paid
that's
good
true,
money
true.
for it.
Yeah, you're right.
That's one rationale, I suppose.
I think that's logical.
Yeah, well, in local news, police have arrested a woman who was involved in a carjacking incident on the East Bluff last Tuesday around 8:30 in the evening. The woman, identified as 31-year-old Courtney Garms, and a man, jumped into an occupied car, stabbed that occupant with a needle before driving away without the occupant. The car was found later, and so was Garms. She's in jail, and her buddy is currently on the lam.
Don't you like that, on the lam?
On the lam.
You normally don't hear that in newscasts.
No, I mean, it's kind of hard to be on a lam. I would
Yeah.
think that,
Maybe a goat?
if you're a bit corpulent like I am, you
Yeah.
might the lamb might be suffering from terrible back damage from
Yeah.
trying to bear the weight.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. You make a good point.
It's illegal.
Yeah, well, on the other side of the city, police apprehended Aurelino Hernandez around 1 in the morning on Wednesday at Joe's Towing Service on South Washington Street. Once spotted, Hernandez tried to outrace officers and lost not only the chase, but the fight that followed. He's been charged with criminal trespassing and resisting arrest. And we follow that story with news that the city of Peoria has been awarded close to $1.4 million in state funding earmarked for reducing carjackings and auto thefts. Money will be used for vehicles, tracking devices, GPS data, camera, drones, and other technology to get the bad guys. They'll also use the equipment to prevent title fraud used by car thieves. And Roger, that's it for news at the bottom of the hour.
All right. Did we do the weather? I think we did the weather. Okay,
No.
you ready to go?
You want to?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. The
Well, it's
weather brought
frosty.
to you by Frosty the Snowman. Is
Yeah.
that what you started to say?
Coming soon.
Sam Lilly's not Frosty the Snowman, but he is an authority on Medicare plans. And you know, this is a time that you can make changes to your Medicare plan until December 7th. And Sam has been doing this business. I mean, he is the expert. And if you want a good objective evaluation of what's available, he's the go-to guy. Sam Lilly, you can reach him at 309-245-4374.
There's a frost advisory until about 9 o'clock this morning. Your windshield's going to be a little frosty when you get out there.
Think it will be?
I do. Mine was. Sunny today and windy, high 58 tonight, low 33. Freeze warning overnight. If you got anything left in the garden, go get it, because it's gonna freeze tonight.
Well, then you don't have to. If it's going to freeze, would you get it and put it in the refrigerator?
No, if it freezes on the vine, it's junk, right?
It's junk,
Well,
really?
I think.
Well, I don't know. What do you think, Farmer Mike?
I mean, it kind of depends. Tomatoes don't freeze well.
Okay. How about carrots? Carrot would do all right.
Well, they're in the ground.
Yeah, they're in the ground.
That's
so
different.
It's gonna
Well,
be
I didn't
wild.
know that. I thought they grew on a tree. What do you think? I am a dummy? Don't answer that.
I thought they grew in a plastic bag on the grocery.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, no,
grew in
mold
a
is what grows on the plant.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, you probably want to, if you've got tomatoes out there, get them while the getting's good, because once they freeze,
It's all
it
over.
becomes a little problematic.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of depends. If you want a sliced tomato, yeah, it's not going to be good.
Tomorrow's going to be frosty also in the morning, sunny and 60. Right now, we still at 34. We're around 34-ish. So it's kind of.
Well, you're the weather guy.
No,
What are you looking at us
I'm
for?
just a reader. I don't know anything.
Hey, for 10 points,
Yeah.
who was Lamb Chops?
Sherry Lewis.
Sherry Lewis, yeah.
Very good. You guys remember it quite well. Hey, we're rolling along this morning, and we had our technical problems corrected. Chris Buckley, if you're listening, God bless you for coming in. That was awful nice of him, because a lot of people do listen and watch on YouTube, for that matter. You were talking about fruits and vegetables, etc., and so forth. Do people still use electric knives? You remember when electric knives were, no kitchen was complete if you didn't have an electric knife. I don't have one and haven't had one for years. Do any of you still have an electric
Maybe
knife?
a week ago.
You use one?
I did to cut some bread with some homemade bread, and it was easier to cut it with the knife.
Do you have one in your
No,
kitchen?
I mean, I kind of went completely the other direction, because I've got
No
big-
knives at all?
No, I've got actually a big Hobart like meat slicer.
Oh, you've got the big.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Like they have at Jersey Mike's. I can like
Yeah.
just to go back and forth
Oh,
and back
wow.
and forth.
all right.
But yeah, that was
How many people live at your place? How many?
It depends on who's
Time
in
of the year.
town. Yeah,
It depends on the time of the year. Yeah.
Family comes over. There, well, there you go. I got
Yeah,
the meat
just a
slicer.
minute. I'm going to go into the kitchen and slice up a ham
Yeah.
as soon as I kill the pig.
Get my 25-pound round of bologna. And, kind of roll it off on that.
Wow.
They are cool devices, though, aren't
Oh,
they?
I have a history with this machine.
Okay.
This is out of my grandfather's store.
Oh,
really?
wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was probably the only grandkid that was old enough to actually use and learn how to take it apart and clean it.
Really? And you still have 10 fingers?
I mean,
Wow.
yeah.
That's impressive.
They don't. None of them point straight, but they're still all attached.
You know, it's interesting. There are a few meat markets left where you actually, and Beecham's in Tremont is one of those. And it is amazing that when you get, maybe you want a ham or cheese, that the gal who operates it will say, you want it sandwich for sandwiches, or you want it
thin
for
or thick? Or, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
right. And I guess you can adjust the
yeah.
thickness
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
the cheese or
The
the
distance of the
bologna
bacon.
or whatever. I think that's neat. Now, when I said for sandwich, I would have made it a little thicker. But
Oh.
you know what she does? She turns and says, is this okay after she's done a slice?
Yeah.
And I usually say yes, and later on I say, I wish I hadn't said yes.
Yeah. I never heard of the place. What's the name of it?
Beecham, Beechams.
Yeah.
And long time,
drive there and
the owner has since passed away, and his son is running it. But it is a great place for meat.
Do they sell groceries or anything other than
Yes,
the meat?
yes.
Because most purely meat markets just can't survive today because
Yeah.
everybody can get the same thing at a Kroger's.
You're exactly right, and as a result, everything that is other than meat is much more expensive than Aldi's or Walmart.
Alwan's and what's the other one that used to be in Metro?
Pottstown.
Pottstown, Deli.
Yeah.
That sounds raver.
They sell a lot of other things, everything from salads.
But there are no
to-
bargains.
Yeah, but yeah,
And that's
you pay a little bit
understandable,
more,
yeah.
but you probably get fresher,
you
maybe
get a better quality, yeah.
things,
Well, there's like five people, five companies that control all the meat in the everywhere. There's like 5 businesses that
Yeah.
control it, and when you got Kroger's or all that buys trainloads of it,
Yeah,
hard to
it's
compete
hard
on
to
price.
compete.
you
Yeah.
can't bring them in on
Much
the
of
hoof.
what's at Kroger's is Smithfield. That's
Smithfield, right.
that's
Yeah,
a big
yeah.
national.
Remember they used to
meat
bring
firm.
them in on the hoof. Almonds used to bring in a cow.
How'd they get the cow in the store?
No, it was
be a
They
dead.
said, here, cow,
I see.
cow.
Yeah,
Here-
it was hanging by its hooves, and then they would butcher it. Nobody,
Yeah.
you can't. I guess you can't even afford to do that. So everybody buys the box meat now, and then they cut it up from there.
Interesting. I asked the owner, and the one who has since passed away. I can't remember his first name. I apologize for that. And really a neat guy. And I asked him a serious question. I said, "Your meat is a very famous. Where do you get it?" And he said, with a very sober expression on his face, he said, "Omaha Steaks." And I thought, I believed it. I came home to my son, who lived in Tremont for a while. I said, "I can't believe that he buys some meat from Omaha Steaks." He said, "Daddy's pulling your leg. It's from local farms in
Sure.
the Tremont area."
Well, I mean, and I tell you what, like I know there's a couple farmers that I'm aware of, like up around Henry, that if you talk to them at some point in the year, they'll buy a cow, you can buy a cow
Or you buy
from
the cow.
them.
Yeah, right.
And if you wanted to go over there, you could meet the cow, name the cow,
Yeah, and then
and
Name that cow.
name that cow.
kill
Yeah.
it. eat it. Yeah, right.
Well, we have a caller who's going to correct me, I think. Good morning.
I'm not going to correct you. The meat there is, especially the bacon. It is probably the best bacon you'll ever have. And then they make their own coleslaw. It is so wonderful. I just want you to know that.
Yeah.
It's really got
What's
some really wonderful things.
Yeah.
And Butch's Pizza makes a baked potato pizza. And you can't get that just anywhere. They carry it.
How do we get to Butch's?
Butcher's.
Because
Butch-
Beecham carries the baked potato pizza by
Yeah, and that was Butch Carey, who was a Manual graduate. And I think he was a catcher at Manual. What is Mr. Beecham's first name? The father has passed away. Do you remember?
Mister.
Thank you for that call. And as Dr. Sidler would
we
say,
go.
that was a terrible answer.
And his daughter works in there, and there's several Beechams that work in there, and
Jerry.
they're all as nice as they can be.
Yeah.
Jerry Beecham, the son of William and Iva Beecham, opened Beecham's Market in Tremont in 1939. So there you go, right
wow.
from the
There you go.
Peoria Magazine article here.
And
I'm
so
finding.
I don't think his name
Now,
was
now
Will
I'll tell you a
Beecham.
little story.
Well, that was the original founder. So let's see. The second generation was William and Iva Beecham.
Billy Beecham? Little Billy Beecham?
And then the next generation was Jerry Beecham, again another Jerry, and then Lanny
Lanny,
Beecham.
that's the one.
He was
that I
actually-
Lanny,
remember.
that's it.
He was
Yeah.
actually the third generation owner, and now the current is Dave Hughes, who's married to Lanny's daughter, Carrie.
Okay. And Terry is in the story, isn't she, Kathy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I want to tell you a really interesting story back to the Butch's Pizza thing. Now when I said something to the guy, he said I was wrong, but I know better. So my grandma and grandpa had the Pilot Club there in Bartonville, and before that they had the Penguin Tap. So the pizzas are about the same. Well, the sausage recipe that they'd use was so wonderful that Butch's wanted to buy it. So they sold their sausage recipe to Butch's Pizza.
Did not know that. And now you know
Yeah.
the rest of the story.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Kathy. we're going to play.
All right, God bless you guys. You're great. I'm so glad you're on YouTube.
We're not as glad as we are.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Kathy. Appreciate
Bye,
it.
Kathy.
Bye.
You bet. And now our pet tip of the day, boys and girls.
Today's pet tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little-known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. Walking with our dogs is important for many reasons, but here is one you may not have thought about. When we walk our dogs, they are always sniffing everything along the way. I call this reading the doggy newspaper, and here is why. Animals mark their territory either by rubbing against an object or by spraying urine to identify it as theirs. Another animal comes along and can smell a single drop of urine and is able to tell a great deal about the animal who left the mark. They can distinguish one animal from another of the same breed. They can tell whether the animal is dominant or submissive. They can recognize and identify the other animal. They can tell what the animal has been eating, know whether the other is a friend or a foe. They can tell male from female, and they can even tell the animal's emotional state. So don't rush your dog and tell him to stop sniffing. Take a little time and let them sniff. He's reading the paper, just like you will do when you finish this walk. Just relax and enjoy this time with your pet. And now that you know what he's finding out about the world around him, discuss it with him. He loves to hear your voice and interact with you, especially a good wet lick on the face after he's done all that sniffing. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's pet tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Thank you, Louis Linder. And we move along. We have news, weather, sports coming up at the top of the hour. 7:30, we're going to talk to a lovely lady who is born and raised in Israel and was the featured speaker at the Jewish Federation of Peoria fundraiser last night, so stick around for that. You're listening to Breakfast with Roger and Friends on WAZU FM 90.7 and also on YouTube. Thanks for being a part of our program on this beautiful but nippy morning. Happy Thursday, the 23rd of October. We begin with a check of the weather, and boy, do we have weather. Brought to you by Kyle Varnold, and Kyle, of course, is Mr. Weather, but it's also an insurance professional eager to serve you with free reviews of your insurance plans for auto, homeowners, health, life coverage, and Medicare to make sure you're receiving the right insurance at the right cost. You can reach Kyle today, Kyle Varnold, at 309-682-0519.
Frost advisory, Roger, until 9 o'clock, couple hours, until 9 o'clock this morning. Then sunny and windy, high 58, low tonight 33. There's a freeze warning overnight until 9 a.m. in the morning. Tomorrow, frost until 8. And then not so windy, sunny and 60, partly sunny Saturday, high 62. Sunday, sunny, 64. Right now, It's just a couple of degrees above freezing. It's 34 degrees out.
Yeah, it feels like it's freezing, as a matter of fact. Anyway, let's get into the news brought to you by your hometown community banks division, Morton Community Bank. They have a convenient, friendly hometown location throughout central Illinois. Look for the clock tower, and you'll know they have time for you. Member FDIC. Mike Dentino has the lead story. Michael.
Thank you, Roger. The Jewish Federation of Peoria held its annual campaign kickoff fundraiser last night. Featured speaker was Lior Zisser Yogev of Detroit. Zisser talked about the October 7th, 2023 massacre of close to 1,200 Israelis. 250 others were taken as hostages. Zisser described the death of her brother who died while fighting the terrorists. We'll talk with Zisser following the 7:30 news.
The shutdown continues after Democrats again blocked Republican senators' motions to reopen government. That makes 12 times Republicans were unable to put federal workers back to work. Democrats refuse to negotiate unless Republicans meet their demands for health care subsidies. President Trump said that there would be no discussions on anything until Democrats first agree to allow federal agencies to reopen. The latest vote was 54 to 46. As you know, you need 60 yay votes to restart the government.
Senate Minority Leader Republican Senator John Thune said today he'll introduce legislation to pay those federal employees who have had to work during the shutdown. Democrats say they'll introduce a measure to pay federal employees who've been laid off and are doing nothing. Apparently, they can't see the difference. Next week, Republicans will introduce standalone bills to pay our troops and air traffic controllers.
A Senate Democrat candidate is struggling to excuse his affection for the Nazi government of World War II. Graham Plattner, who's running for U.S. Senate from Maine, claims the tattoo on his chest is no longer representative of his political beliefs. What was the tattoo?
It was a skull type of
skull and crossbones.
Supposedly associated with the Nazi SS regiment.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Did it have a swastika on it, or
No, there was no swastika. It was a skull and crossbones, but it had a unique design. Not
It was
like
symbolic
you think
of the
like
Nazis,
pirate
as you
skull.
said, the SS, dreaded SSS.
Okay. Well, he said it no longer is representative of his political beliefs. Instead of having it removed, Plattner had the tattoo changed. To what?
I think you probably put posies and roses around it. Now it's more of a guns and roses.
And then lettering that says "Love Mother."
Critics say that he could have had it removed with laser treatment. He got the skull and crossbones symbol back in 2007.
They said he was drunk. I've heard that story from ad nauseum from many people who got tattoos years ago. I had too much to drink, and we did it on a dare.
Well, most tattoos the stories start out with, we were out drinking and. But anyway.
Did you ever think about, you were in the service back in the Civil War or whenever it was?
Well, I was on the Merrimack when it met the Monitor.
Did you ever think about getting a tattoo? I know none of you have tattoos.
I thought about getting it, and I still may get a tattoo. I thought about it, but the problem is tattoos never come with great stories. I have lots of scars. They come with much better stories.
Oh, yeah.
Most of them start out with "Hold my beer."
Yeah.
This is the tattoo that he had.
I just found.
And then he just changed it and covered it up with something floral looking.
I never found anything that I want permanent. I've never, saw a design and say, "Wow, I want that forever here." Except maybe a barber pole. I consider.
Well, I can arrange that, but
I thought that'd be too painful.
Anyway, do you remember as a kid?
I'm not even going to get into that.
Yeah. He usually likes to open the door and trap us all, and so anyway. But you remember as a kid, you could get these little paper things that you would put on your arm.
Oh, there's a big at fairs for kids, and they'll last now for like a week.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well.
In other news,
a Virginia Attorney General Democrat candidate Jay Jones is now in more trouble. Jones is the guy who in 2022 suggested shooting House Speaker Republican Todd Gilbert, and his children. Instead of dropping out of the race, he apologized.
You'll probably win.
Well, we'll see. In his latest episode of Outstanding Character, he was arrested for driving 116 miles an hour, as we all are wont to do.
Yeah.
And a judge ordered him to serve 1,000 hours of community service rather than go to jail. Well, he did the community service. It turns out he did it working for his own campaign office and the Virginia office of the NAACP. You know, it's nothing special about that. A special prosecutor, however, has been appointed to investigate this alleged fraud.
Hey.
So we'll see how it turns out.
In local news, police have arrested a woman who was involved in a carjacking incident on the East Bluff last Tuesday around 8:30 in the evening. I guess this gal and some dude jumped into this person's car and stabbed him with a needle and threw her out of the car, and then they drove away. The car was found later, and so was Garms, but the dude she was with has not been
He
found.
just threw quicker, and you can.
Yeah.
Stabbed her with a needle. That would be
Frightening.
almost more scary than a gun.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
What's
not-
the contamination?
Not more scary if they didn't pull the trigger,
What's
but
the-
you know what I mean.
What's the contamination of a used needle?
Hepatitis,
as you
or
know,
everything.
yeah.
You can get AIDS.
Well, I thought I would ask the doctor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
That's
ahead.
all
I
right.
thought that was
That's
to me.
all right.
I
know
had
it.
the mic. I thought it was me.
You could get AIDS. No, it depends on whether the person that needle was previously in has a circulating virus that can be passed on. And yeah, I acquired hepatitis B from a needle stick when I was
You
in
did?
my
You did?
residency. Yeah.
Why? Did you? I mean, was it a
It was
you
a
hit your
weird,
thumb instead of?
weird mistake. I was supervising an intern doing a procedure called a paracentesis. That's where you put a needle into the abdomen of a person with liver failure because their abdomen is filling up with fluid. It's called ascites. Long story, but he got it in just fine. Everything was fine, and we were hooking it up to a little vacuum container that draws it out. And he had on a white coat, you know, like a lot of interns wear these white coats. In fact, we had to wear them. Have these fake buttons down the side of the cuffs, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So he turns around and it catches on that, and it whips this thing over, and it sticks into my finger.
The needle? It whipped it
I'm
out?
6 or 8 feet behind him, yeah.
Oh.
Holy
And this
cow.
needle, I mean, talk about something that must have been intended to happen.
Yeah.
It
You
was
couldn't have tried that.
you couldn't have reproduced that in 1,000 tries.
Did you have on
Yeah.
gloves?
Oh, I didn't. No,
No,
the
so
intern
it-
doing the procedure did.
Oh,
No, I'm
my.
standing back about 5 feet behind him and just supervising, and this needle lands into the tip of my finger. I
Oh, my.
immediately went to the chart and ordered a bunch of serology tests, blood tests, and they came back positive for hepatitis B.
Wow.
And
Holy
so
cow.
I kind of worried that I was going to get it. You know, I'm squeezing every bit of blood out of my finger I can.
Yeah.
But like about 2 months passed, and I was doing fine. And then one day I woke up and I was yellow. Yeah,
Really?
I was jaundiced.
Gee, when I was in the
so-
service, a number of people called me yellow, but it wasn't hepatitis.
So was your
So
wife,
what did you do for it?
What did I do? Well, back then they did not have something called anti-serum, which is a concentrated antibody solution that you can take from donors of people who have had the disease and recovered. Hepatitis B is the most serious type of hepatitis. People die from it. People.
What happens? Your liver shuts down or something? Or
Well,
what?
about a third of people with hepatitis B go into a chronic stage where the virus never leaves your system. It stays there, continues to attack the liver, and develops cirrhosis over years of time, and people die from that.
I'm glad you sit way over there. I never
was
knew
fortunate.
that about you.
I recovered
Do you still have
quickly,
it?
and well,
I mean, you're still
no,
a carrier,
no,
right?
I'm
No?
serologically negative, as they say.
I noticed though you look a little yellow this morning.
Yeah. Just stay on that
That's,
side of the desk.
I was painting yesterday. and
So did you give it to? I mean, was your wife kind of?
Well, I
what'd
was
you
worried
do?
about that,
Well,
obviously,
yeah.
that I could, you can transmit it through any body fluid.
Sure.
Yeah.
And, but she never got sick. She never got it.
Did she stay away from you for a while? I mean, I think
they
I
were
would've.
just developing. This is now back in the 1970s. They were just developing the vaccine for hepatitis B at that time, and they actually had some. UCLA, where I trained, one of the leading institutions in research, actually had some of it, but they wouldn't give it to me.
Really?
No.
Oh, geez.
Of course, it was experimental. They only had a license to use it experimentally in study trials.
Would you have taken it?
I would have given it to my wife. No, it wouldn't have.
Wait a minute.
It wouldn't. No, it wouldn't have done me any
Oh,
good.
it wouldn't have done you. Oh, okay. I was
Because
gonna
it takes
say,
a
I'd
couple
let
of
her
weeks
try
for
it.
you
I'm
to
not gonna.
develop antibodies, and if you've got the virus, it's too
Okay,
late.
all right.
No, so I would have given it to my wife at least, but I could punch those guys in the face.
No, I don't blame you.
I just, and I even, our medical director at our residency program even went in and requested it, but they would not release a dose of it. I wish I could have maybe snuck into their lab one night.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, everything worked out okay.
Well,
but
you're healthy today.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that, but I don't have hepatitis.
Yeah. Okay.
But yes, you can. Nurses are the highest risk because, of course, they
They're around
they
needles
deal
all
with
the time.
needles every day.
Yeah.
And a lot of nurses during the AIDS epidemic in the 1980s acquired HIV and died from it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
A lot of nurses did because, of course, they take care of those
Yeah.
patients and they're drawing blood and doing all kinds of things. Now we have safer needles with special shields that can kind of flip back over the needle as soon as you withdraw it and
really?
keep it from
Accidentally
exposing
scanning,
a risk to people that may have to. Because every time you draw blood or give a shot or do anything with a needle, you have to take that needle off the syringe and then dispose it
Right.
into a special
Sharps container. Yeah.
container. Well, we didn't even have those back then, and now of course they're widely used. These specialized Sharps container, but even those, they get full, and you go to put one in, and there's 2 or 3 of them sticking out the
up
top
out
of the
there,
darn
yeah.
thing. It's crazy how people think they're being safe, but it may not be. Yeah.
It's too bad they haven't developed a glove that is like a gardener's glove that you can, if you have the glove
like
on,
a
you get
medieval
some,
knight.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
They have them
Well,
for
yeah.
kitchens that are cut resistant.
Yeah.
the
cut
gloves.
resistant gloves.
Yeah.
Needle resistant gloves. I don't
Well,
think
yeah,
that would
hard.
that
I
makes
mean,
sense, right?
You
No?
got to be
Even
able to feel
chainmail.
for a vein. You've got to be able to. No, you couldn't do that.
You
in
couldn't do it
medicine.
good. It was too awkward and unwieldingly, I guess. I don't. Are we done with the news?
No, we got a couple
Let's
yeah,
call it
yeah,
quits.
yeah.
But on the other side of the city,
Yes.
moving right along,
Oh, okay.
police apprehended Arvelino Hernandez around 1 in the morning Wednesday at Joe's Towing Service on South Washington Street. Once spotted, he tried to outrace the officers and lost not only the chase but the fight that followed. He's been charged with criminal trespassing and resisting arrest.
We follow the story with the news that the city of Peoria has been awarded close to $1.4 million in state funding earmarked for reducing carjackings and auto thefts. The money will be used for vehicles, tracking devices, GPS data, cameras, drones, and other technology to get the bad guys. They'll also use the equipment to prevent title fraud used by car thieves.
You know, when you hear the list of possible devices, the technology is wild. I mean, they have just about everything, and yet we just had a carjacking. I don't know if any one of those devices would have prevented it.
No, you need.
No, probably not. I mean, but the one device that probably would have stopped it is a door lock. Because they just hopped
Well,
in the
yeah.
car. I
Yeah.
mean,
And my car locks when I put it in drive and I start
Right.
driving. It locks
Right.
automatically.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that there were cars that did
no, mine
that
does that
automatically.
too.
Oh, come on. What
Well,
your
see,
car
I
do you
drive a
drive?
25-year-old car.
You still have to roll down your window. You still have to crank it down.
Yeah.
What was
There's little
the
buttons
No,
now.
I
The
do
doctor's
have
a little
electric
button
window.
you push, and your window actually goes down when you just push a little button now.
Well, I can push a button and lock my
Yeah.
car. It just doesn't do that automatically when I turn the key.
Something's wrong with my car. If I lock the driver's side, I cannot unlock the door anymore. I have to go around.
Climb out
to
the window?
No, I have to go around to the passenger side and unlock it.
With the, you talking about the key
Pardon?
or the fob? Are you talking about whether you use a key or a fob?
It doesn't matter. I can't get into my car. So I have to go to the passenger side. And, you know, I don't know why we, with the modern automobile, got rid of that or installed the glove box between the passenger and the driver. You know, it used to be when you dated a girl and she sat next to you,
She could actually
you
sit
can't
next
do
to you.
that anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Because they've got the divider that some pervert put in there to prevent anything from going. So I have to, and you know, at my age, climbing over a glove box.
Yeah.
You
and
seriously have to
get-
climb in your
Yeah,
car
yeah.
from the passenger
Yeah,
side?
but I shouldn't say this. I leave my car unlocked no matter where I am now because I don't want to
Really?
go through that
What's
exercise.
what's your plate number?
Yeah, and I don't want to go to the dealer because as soon as you drive in, you hear the cash register.
It's probably some mechanical problem inside the door
Could be.
linkage, and yes, they would have to tear the door down,
Exactly,
and
yeah.
that is going to be an
Almost be
expensive
cheaper to
fix.
climb in the window, wouldn't it?
It'd be
easier-
cheaper if you
easier to
just
climb in the-
traded it in.
Well,
Well,
yeah, well, that's the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
that's the whole thing. I mean, you trade it in,
Trade
and
it
the
in because
dealer.
the door lock doesn't work. Now that
Well, no,
that
I tell-
isn't.
It
I
is.
just
It is
got-
really strange.
I just got done trying to repair my nephew's car, and in the end, I had to go to the dealer. It cost $511 to get 2 new key fobs because the key fob
Oh, my.
couldn't be reprogrammed to I mean, I got everything to work except for the key fob.
Yeah, they're
And
expensive.
the problem was to even start the car, you had to open up the center console, stick the key fob in there's a little pocket in the back of that where it's the programming
Okay.
nook or whatever you want to call it. But you had to put the key in there to get the damn thing to start.
Well, that's handy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
Yeah, I've had that problem
it's
with
an
mine.
irritate-
They
it's
have
irritation.
a little opening in your dash where you can put your fob.
Yeah, right.
And I found if I just reach in and move the fob around my pocket, and I remember I was in a parking lot, I think it was at a Walmart, when I was reaching in my pocket to move the fob around when a woman walked by and looked in and wondered
thought
what
you
I
were
was
really
doing.
doing
Yeah. And I was, but I got it started.
Thumbing your
And,
fob in the parking lot.
Fortunately, you don't look a lot like Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
Bob Newhart told a funny bit where he was in his car smoking and he dropped his cigarette between his legs while he was stopped at a stoplight, and a big Greyhound bus that was loaded with people pulled up alongside, and as he was trying to put out, everybody in the bus was looking at him.
Oh, my.
And as Bob Newhart was wanting to do, it was absolutely funny bit.
Oh, yeah.
I have another problem with my car. We'll get on with the regular show after you give me a diagnosis. My car
Welcome
has
to
a
Roger's Garage.
Yes, John Bierce bringing you what's wrong with your car. I have a leveling device on the car,
What?
and
Okay.
you know what I'm talking about? Because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All I know is it now makes noises until it gets to where.
You get air shocks, and it's
Is that what it is?
self-leveling. So, if what happens, you turn the car off, and then the car, because there's probably a small leak somewhere in the pneumatic system, it'll drop down. So when you get in it, start the car, all of a sudden everything wants to level itself back
Right,
out.
that's what it does.
And you'll
And
hear-
once it does, then it quits making all the noise. So I drove over to a Cadillac dealer, I won't say what, and I described it to and it's amazing how many women now are auto mechanics or work in service departments. And she said, oh, yeah, that's a major problem. I said, so that's going to cost me a lot of money? She said, a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'll deal with
Can
the
you
noise.
just turn it off?
Well, no.
I mean,
because-
how level do you have to be to drive a car? I mean,
Well,
it's
my
still-
dad said when I was young, now are you on the level?
Yeah, but
And
see, I don't.
I'm very concerned. So give me the
Not
answer.
all cars
Well,
have that.
the answer, no, not all cars do. Most cars just have a passive shock or strut system that just works. But what'll happen is you'll have to. Well, the good news is that the air compressor that runs the whole system and all the sensors are working. Otherwise, it wouldn't work at all. But to find you're going to have to find the leak, and depending on how many miles you have, it could mean that
176.
Yeah,
Roger, get a new car. Jimmy Christmas.
Well,
Hey, at my age, that car is going to outlive me, so I'm not
Well, I
worried
don't
about it.
know. It's starting to die slowly.
Well,
I
if it
think.
does, I'll just leave it where it is
what'll happen
and
is
tear up the
the
title.
shocks. You always want to change. First of all, you want to change them in pairs. The front shocks or the back shocks, or struts, as the case may be.
Yeah.
But at 170,000 miles, it's quite likely that you probably should just go ahead and change all four, because if you change two, the next thing
Would
that'll
that
happen.
correct the problem?
Yeah, I mean, well,
Okay.
it like all
where the leak
lawyers say,
is.
it all depends on where
Yeah.
the leak is, and it could be that there's a hose or a bad connection that's
Oh,
leaking.
really? That
But-
could be easily
You know,
fixed.
I've noticed where you park out here in the parking lot. You
Yeah.
usually park. There's a huge something, a spot where you park your car. So there is something leaking in your car.
No.
Have you noticed that, Doctor?
That has been there for years.
Yeah.
That's not from
I
his
don't
car?
think it's from Roger's
Because
car.
where he always parks.
No,
But other people
that-
have parked there.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
I
I
just
must
noticed that
confess,
thing. Huh?
I didn't make it into the restroom quick enough, and so at
So that's why it's by the
at
driver's
5:30 in the morning, nobody knows. Okay. Anyway, did we finish news? I think
Yeah,
we
we
need
did.
sports. We haven't done sports,
No.
and we haven't done WCBU. So
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm June Delahunty. The Peoria City Council is set to approve a balanced budget for the next 2 fiscal years, 1 week ahead of schedule. At this week's brief special meeting, members had the first reading of an ordinance amendment that will keep stormwater utility fees flat for 2026 and 2027. Amendments added $2.5 million in revenue to the 2026 portion spending plan, while reducing expenses by $600,000. A vote on the budget is expected next week. Opening statements began today in the murder trial of a former sheriff's deputy charged with killing 36-year-old Sonia Massey in her Springfield home last year. The central question in this case is whether Sean Grayson acted in self-defense. Massey had called 911 to her home for help when Grayson shot her over a pot of boiling water on her stove. The prosecution told jurors Grayson killed Massey, quote, because he was mad at her. Grayson faces 3 counts of first-degree murder, 1 for each bullet fired. The trial was moved to Peoria County due to pretrial publicity. The Washington City Council has approved establishing a new city leadership position, Deputy City Administrator. Alderperson John Blundy cast the lone vote against creating the position.
This is one of those, to me, that just kind of stands out right now is, it's a nice to, it'd be nice to have this, but I don't see it as a need that we really need right now.
The Deputy City Administrator will automatically become the interim City Administrator if the City Administrator leaves or is fired. It's harvest season, and Governor J.B. Pritzker worries about Illinois soybean farmers because of President Trump's tariff-driven trade war with China.
It's abominable that the federal government is providing $20 billion to bail out the Argentine economy. That has allowed Argentina to now trade their soybeans with China. And we're talking about replacing almost all of what Illinois would have provided.
China bought $1.4 billion worth of soybeans from Illinois last year, but hasn't imported any in 2025. Instead, it's buying from Argentina, which just got a big bailout from the Trump administration, while Illinois farmers struggle to find a new buyer. I'm June Delahunty.
Oh boy, we're into the farming business at WCBU, but let's get into sports with Dr. Gene Sidler. Good morning, Gino. Brought to you by BradleyFans.com.
Yeah, Bradley, sports, basketball specifically, starting to heat up. We'll get to that in a second. Start first with the NFL game tonight. Tonight's Thursday night NFL game on Prime Video is the Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are 3.5-point favorite. Both teams struggling to get their season going if they're looking to make the playoffs. The Vikings 3-3, they're on the bottom of the NFC North. Los Angeles Chargers at 4-3 on the season. The Bears are 4-2. They've won 4 games in a row now, and they play Sunday at noon in Baltimore against the Ravens. Ravens were the favorites to win the AFC North, but they're just off to a 1-5 start, partly due to a difficult schedule and a lot of injuries, but they're still a good team, and they are 6.5-point favorites over the Bears for Sunday's game. I think the Bears will win that game. College football, Illinois moved back into the top 25 after dropping out last week for just the 1 week. They're back at number 23 in the AP top 25. They play at Washington on Saturday, 2:30 p.m. game on the Big Ten Network. Both teams 5-2 on the season. Washington is a surprising 4.5-point favorite in that game. I thought the Illini might be favored, and I think they could win that game too. So go Illini. Notre Dame up to number 12 in the top 25 rankings. They have this week off after the win last week over USC. That was their 5th win in a row. They're 5-2 now. Their next game is Saturday, November 1st at Boston College. Over in baseball, we have the 121st World Series getting underway tomorrow night in Los Angeles. It's the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays, 7 p.m. on the Fox Network for Game 1. Game 2 will be Saturday night. NHL games tonight. The Chicago Blackhawks are at the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the St. Louis Blues host the Utah Mammoth in a couple of games of interest to our fans locally. The Peoria Rivermans won the first game of the season last weekend, 5-1 over the Quad City Storm up in Molina. They return home and play a couple of home games this weekend, Friday and Saturday night, against the Fayetteville Marksmen. And the NBA got underway this week, and the Chicago Bulls played their first game last night, a home game against the Detroit Pistons. Chicago Bulls came out on top, 115-111. It was a pretty good game. I watched much of that. The Bulls pulled way ahead, 23-point lead in the second quarter, and held that lead all through the third quarter. Even went into the fourth quarter with a 15-point lead. And then the Pistons rallied to tie it, but then in the final minute, the Bulls pulled ahead to win 115-111. Seems like an awful lot of NBA games go that way, where a team, even if it gets a big lead, it always seems to evaporate and get close at the end. Anyway, over to Bradley basketball. Their 25-26 season is underway. They've played one exhibition game, the one up at Green Bay a couple weekends ago, and now they've got another one tonight. Their exhibition game tonight is against the St. Louis Billikens. Now, St. Louis is in the Atlantic 10 Conference. That's the conference that Loyola switched to when they left the Missouri Valley a couple years ago. And they're picked second in that league in their preseason poll. So apparently people think they've got a pretty good team. The coach is Josh Schertz, who coached Indiana State 2 years ago to the championship in the Missouri Valley. They still have Robbie Avila, that big 6'10" guy with the funny-looking goggles on, that is a darn good player, that played for him at Indiana State and now is at St. Louis playing for Josh Schertz there. So that'll be a test for Bradley. Again, it's an exhibition game. Fans probably can expect to see a lot of different lineups played out on the court, just so coaches are able to assess their team and get prepared for the regular season. Nobody really cares quite so much who wins or loses, although obviously you want to see your better players play. So that's what's up for Bradley tonight, exhibition at the Civic Center with St. Louis. And then the first game of the season is Monday, November 3rd. Starts the regular season. That's it for sports, right?
That's it for sports, and let's get into the news very quickly. Bring you up to date. And the news brought to you by Bob Manning, Senior Vice President, Financial Advisor with the Grandview Capital Group at Morgan Stanley. For all your investment needs, call Bob Manning. He's available today at 309-671-4653. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, LLC, member SIPC. Mike Dentino has the news.
Thanks, Roger. The Jewish Federation of Peoria held its annual campaign kickoff fundraiser last night. Featured speaker was Lior Zisser-Yogev of Detroit. Zisser spoke about the October 7, 2023 massacre of close to 1,200 Israelis, and 250 others were taken as hostages. Zisser described the death of her brother, who died while fighting the terrorists. We'll talk with Zisser following the 7:30 newscast. The shutdown continues after Democrats again blocked Republican senators' motion to reopen the government. That makes 12 times that the Republicans were unable to put federal workers back to work. Democrats refuse to negotiate unless Republicans meet their demands for health care subsidies. President Trump said there would be no discussion on anything until Democrats first agree to allow federal agencies to reopen. The latest vote was 54 to reopen and 46 to stay closed. It takes 60 yay votes to restart the government. Senate Majority Republican Senator John Thune said today he'll introduce legislation to pay those federal employees who have been to work or have had to work during the shutdown. Democrats say they'll introduce a measure to pay federal employees who've been laid off and are doing nothing. Next week, Republicans will introduce standalone bills to pay troops and air traffic controllers. The Senate Democrat candidate is struggling to exercise his affection for the Nazi governments of World War II. Graham Plattner, running for U.S. Senate from Maine, claims the tattoo on his chest is no longer representative of his political beliefs.
Now that he's running for office, of course, I understand that.
Yes, of course. Instead of having it removed, however, Plattner had the tattoo changed. In local news, police have arrested a woman who was involved in a carjacking incident on the East Bluff last Tuesday around 8:30 in the evening. The woman, identified as 31-year-old Courtney Garms, is a man jumped into an unoccupied or occupied car, stabbed that person with a needle before driving away without the occupant.
Yeah, that's a new take on the expression "stick 'em up."
Stick 'em up, yeah. Ouch.
Stick 'em in the arm.
Wow.
The car was found later, and so was Garms. She's in jail, and her buddy is on the lam. On the other side of the city, police apprehended Aurelino Hernandez around 1 in the morning Wednesday at Joe's Towing Service on South Washington Street. Once spotted, he tried to outrace officers and lost not only the chase, but the fight that followed. He's been charged with criminal trespassing and resisting arrest. We followed that story on news with the city. We followed that story with news that the city of Peoria has been awarded close to $1.4 million in state funding, earmarked for reducing carjackings and auto thefts. The money will be used for vehicles, tracking devices, GPS data, cameras, drones, and other technology to get the bad guys. They'll also use the equipment to prevent title fraud used by car thieves. And Roger, that's it for news at the bottom of the hour.
And we have a follow-up, a late-breaking story that you have, Terry Gray.
This is one of those terrible ones. Former state senator and state representative Darren Bailey. You know, he announced in September that he was going to run for governor. Lost his son, daughter-in-law, and 2 grandchildren in a helicopter accident in Montana.
Terrible.
No kidding.
Oh my God.
Terrible, terrible news.
Let's turn to the weather.
The weather, frosty advisory until about another hour or so this morning. Then it'll be sunny and windy, high 58 tonight, low 33. Freeze warning for overnight, so pick anything in the garden because it's going to get wrecked. Tomorrow, frost until 8, and then not so windy. Sunny and 60, partly sunny Saturday, high 62. Right now, we're still around 34. It's chilly.
It's still on the nippy side here in Peoria, for that matter. On our newscast this morning, we've been mentioning about a fundraiser of the Jewish Federation of Peoria, and the speaker for the night is Leora Zisser, who is on the line with us this morning. She's from Detroit. We say good morning.
Good morning, or how we say in Hebrew, Boker Tov.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, very good.
Shalom.
Very good.
Well,
I didn't know Terry was bilingual,
Speak Yiddish,
so good
I do
for
a little
him,
bit.
for that matter. Well, Leora, thanks so much for joining us this morning. You were born and raised in Israel. Tell us a little bit about your early life.
Yes, correct. Well, thank you for having me. I was born in Israel, as you said, and grew up in Israel's northern area in a small town called Givat Ela. And I was lucky enough to spend every other summer growing up, since I was 12 here in the United States. I was lucky to be a participant in a teen delegation coming to a summer camp in Michigan of the Jewish community. So I was an Israeli camper in that summer camp, and I fell in love with the Jewish community and the Jewish lives outside of Israel and creating those bonds and connections. So growing up in Israel, I always maintained those strong connections to the Jewish communities outside of Israel and wanted to become more involved in Jewish education and Israel education overseas. After graduating, finishing high school, like almost every other Israeli, I joined the Israeli Defense Forces to serve in the military. It is mandatory in Israel, and majority of the Israelis serve in the army or in some sort of other way of national service. And I had the privilege of training as a combat soldier and protecting Israel's peaceful borders with Jordan and Egypt, and also serving some time as an educator through the army as a teacher. And after finishing my army service, I really wanted to go back and give back to the Jewish communities and give back for that experience that I remembered as a teen. So I came through the Jewish Agency to work here in Peoria, Illinois. I was here for 2 years, from 2009 to 2011, and I worked for the Jewish Federation here, teaching Hebrew and teaching about Israel and helping with community events, creating, community celebrations about Israel and about Judaism and the Jewish holidays. And that really was my first step of shlichut. It's a word in Hebrew that means being an emissary. I was representing the state of Israel, and going back to Israel, I wanted to keep representing the Jewish community here, which gave me so much. Peoria has a phenomenal, a wonderful, even though small Jewish community, but so active and vibrant and engaged. And it was really a pleasure. I loved living here and being here. I went back to Israel. I got married. I did my BA and MA in education and political science and public policy. And I worked for the Israeli government and several other ministries until 2 years ago, when I came back with my husband and my 2 daughters to serve the Jewish community of Detroit in Michigan. And so I'm lucky to be back here in Peoria for the campaign kickoff of the Jewish Federation and to help the Jewish community, maintain those connections and events and Jewish culture that's so important to them.
Let's talk about, and a great deal of hesitancy to do it because it was a terrible day that will be remembered for centuries. October 7th, 2023, it not only affected you and your family, but it really was devastating because you lost your brother. Tell us about that.
Yes, I'm sad to say. On October 7th, 2023, I've already been 2 months here in the United States with my family. We've been involved with Jewish programs, and it was right in the end of the Jewish holiday of Sukkot and Simchat Torah. And we were celebrating and enjoying family activities, and we woke up that Saturday morning to a nightmare that came about. Really, we did not, nobody in Israel or here saw that coming. There was no threat. And then that morning we woke up to read the news and to talk to our families and realize that there has been a brutal terror attack on Israel. The number of the victims kept rising. At first, when we woke up, they said there's maybe around 40 people killed. And every minute that passed, that number grew and grew and grew. And videos and images started, we saw them all over social media and the news of bodies and victims and people being taken against their will into Gaza by terrorists and terrorists raging free in Israel, terrorizing and shooting and attacking, and it was really devastating. The first thing that I did, of course, was to call my family in Israel and to ask if everyone was okay. And I learned that most of my family, I'm the second of 4 children, I learned that everyone was home or at least in a safe place, except for my younger brother, Eli. Eli was an officer in the IDF in an elite unit, Sayeret Matkal, and he has been trained, and he had a military career. He's been trained for 10 years, and that morning he woke up with his wife. They were newlyweds. He woke up with his wife in their home, and to the sounds of sirens, and they ran to the bomb shelters because rockets were flying from Gaza to all over Israel. And he got a call maybe 10 minutes after they woke up to sirens saying that he has to report to his unit. And he left and said goodbye to his wife And he went to his unit. On the way, he was able to call my family, my parents, and ask them to please take after his wife. I don't know if he knew that he wasn't coming back, but he told him that Tomer, his wife, was taking it very, very bad. She was crying. She didn't want to let him go. I guess she sensed something, and he asked my parents to please come over to their house, even though they weren't able to because of the rockets. They all had to stay in a safe space, but he asked them to come to his house and help her and be with her so that she's not alone because she was so shaken when he left. And my parents said that they will do that. And he drove to his unit. He put on his gear, and then he took. It was such a chaos that morning that whoever came to the unit just put on their uniform, geared up, and was sent. So he led a team of 9 fighters, and they just drove to the area surrounding Gaza, which we call the Gaza envelope, and were directed to wherever they were needed, and they were needed everywhere. It was such chaos. Every Jewish town or village was infiltrated. Almost every Jewish town was infiltrated by hundreds of terrorists, and they were massacring civilians. So Eli's team went into kibbutz Kfar Aza, and they were only 9 fighters, and another small team of a different unit also came in, and there were hundreds of terrorists at that moment, and they were already inside people's homes. And within minutes of fighting, in that morning, Eli lost his life in battle alongside 3 other brave fighters, and the other 5 from his team were very severely wounded. And the fighting was still going on for about 48 hours before more forces were able to get there and to clear out the kibbutz and to save the people that were held hostage there. And so that's why only on October 9th, 2 days after, and throughout that time we didn't hear anything from Eli, and we just assumed that he was fighting or helping or doing something. We learned that he was killed, and I was here. I started working on a solidarity event for my community in Detroit, and I was the lead staff person on that for that evening. And a few hours before we started, I got the message. My husband came into my office and told me that my brother had been killed. And it was a moment that I will never forget. It was devastating. My heart is so broken. When people talk about that, the moment that they will never forget, right, where they were, nobody, you will never forget where you were on 9/11. You'll never forget where you were. For many Israelis, it's that moment of October 7th, and for me, it's that moment that my husband stepped into my office on October 9th, 2023, to inform me that my baby brother was killed. I say baby brother, he was 27, but for me, he will always be my baby brother.
My condolences. Was his body retrieved, and was he able to be buried with funeral services appropriate?
He was. Thank you for asking. Later on, we learned, because so many soldiers and bodies of soldiers and civilians were taken by terrorists into Gaza, and we see it that they've been bodies were held hostage for the past few years and are only now slowly coming back to Israel. We learned later that the terrorists that killed Eli and his friends were trying to take them back into Gaza, and another force was covering for them to make sure that their bodies won't be abducted. So thankfully, we were able to retrieve his body, to identify him, and to bury him according to protocol, to Jewish tradition, and to military services. I begged my parents not to have the funeral before I was able to get back to Israel, and it was impossible to get flights, to get tickets to come with my family for the funeral, but it was special circumstances, and they assisted us. I brought back together with me. I couldn't imagine flying by myself in such horrible circumstances. And we were able to get back to Israel with my family. Once we landed in Ben Gurion Airport, there were sirens and rockets flying over our heads. And I thought to myself, it's crazy that I'm taking my 2 young daughters back to a war zone. But it was where we needed to be. So we were able to bury Eli. We have a grave. And once a year, we go to the grave for the yard site, the Jewish anniversary of his death, to commemorate and pray together.
Yeah. I wonder, when we were talking yesterday, Lior, that you were describing what life is like in Israel. Talk about when the sirens go off, what happens in the country of Israel and in parts of Israel.
Yeah, well, Israel, unfortunately, has known its share. The people of Israel have lived through many conflicts and wars. So we're accustomed. There are systems in place all over Israel to warn people from potential threats of rockets or missiles. Wherever you live in Israel, there's a different time. When the sirens go off, you know that you either have 30 seconds to go into a safe room, which is a concrete, a room with concrete walls and windows that you can shut that are safe and will defend people inside the room from the debris or even direct hits. So in some areas you have 30 seconds, in others you only have 15 seconds. For people that live right on the very close to the Gaza border or the northern border, it's a matter of a few seconds. And people are used to hearing these sounds of sirens and running to safety. And even my daughters, when we lived in Israel before we moved to Detroit, we had our share of sirens and spending nights in the safe rooms so that when the sirens will go off in the middle of the night, we won't have to wake them up and carry them. It's very traumatic. A lot of people in Israel grow with PTSD, I think in any conflict area. And we still try to live our normal lives. And everyone has an app on their smartphone that tells them when and where there might be a threat of rockets or missiles. Or, now in this recent conflict of drones that are sent, explosive drones, which unfortunately is a new threat that we're dealing with. And that's life in Israel, even though Israel is a very happy place to live in, and people there tend to be very optimistic and positive. I think there's no single person in Israel that doesn't have some sort of post-traumatic stress disorder into life under the shadow of war.
That's certainly understandable. Well, we now have alleged ceasefire and a peace plan. What's your reaction? What are your thoughts? Can you trust Hamas?
That's a great question, and I can only speak for myself. There's nothing that I want more, and the people of Israel, and I'm sure the Palestinian people want more than peace. We need to end this conflict, and we just need to live in safety, everyone in the region. When talking about Hamas, I want to remind you that it's not a legitimate government of a country or was elected, by the majority. We're talking about a terror organization that not only terrorizes the people of Israel, they terrorize the Palestinian people in Gaza and in the West Bank. They're a violent, cruel organization that believes in shooting people down in the street or throwing people off of roofs with no sentence. And we see it now, right? And Israel signed a ceasefire up because that's our enemy and we have no other partner. And thank God that this specific conflict may have come to an end. And I was in Israel last week when, thankfully, we've seen the return of the 20 live hostages that were held captive for 2 years in the dark tunnels of those monsters. And when they returned to Israel, they seemed like ghosts. And now we're slowly seeing the bodies of the hostages that many of them were abducted alive and were killed in Gaza while held hostage, and we're seeing the return to Israel slowly. So I'm thrilled and happy that at least this stage of the conflict is coming to an end. I pray that this will be the beginning of a time of peace, but as long as Hamas, as a terror organization, is the ruler of Gaza, I'm afraid that won't be possible because Hamas is not a peaceful organization. They don't want peace, not for the people of Israel, and unfortunately I don't believe they want it for their own people. And the only way that maybe they see peace is if the Jews won't live in Israel. And unfortunately, we have a Jewish homeland, and that's where we will stay. So I pray for peace. I pray for an end to this conflict. And I hope that this ceasefire will be the beginning of de-radicalization and a better future for anyone that lives in our region.
Yeah, we hope and we pray for sure. Lior, Israel's fighting terrorism, and people of the Jewish faith in this country are fighting anti-Semitism. You live in Detroit, and your family has been victimized. Tell us about it.
Yeah, since I work for a Jewish organization and I teach and I talk about Israel often, my name became a target, I believe. 2 years ago, I was teaching a class about the school systems in Israel, and a small protest was organized right in front of my office. They had my name on a sign. They said, Lior Zisser Yogev is complicit with genocide, or Lior is a liar was another catchphrase that they used. And they also wrote that Palestine is a feminist issue, and that we should, that we are supporting ethnic cleansing, all sorts of statements that were based on, as well as I see it, information coming from social media and not true data and information without even knowing the true stories. I believe that if we had a conversation and they heard the story and they heard about how I lost my brother, I doubt if they had the audacity to spray my name like that on a sign. And that was it was a difficult experience. It's not that I felt intimidated. I didn't think they wanted to come and harm me, but I felt targeted. I felt like they looked up my name and they came to assault me in person. They came to our office, which is it's a private building, an organization, so we were able to ask them to leave. But, as long as people are informed only through social media and videos on TikTok or Instagram, and they don't want dialogue or to really hear what's going on and get the facts, then I'm afraid this is what we're going to see, personal targeting against individuals and slandering people, without getting their facts right. So that's an experience that I had. Last year, on October 7th of 2024, I was in Israel for my brother's, for his death, the anniversary of his death, and here, my office was vandalized. And they put terrible words on, they sprayed our walls and our floors of the office. On the day of the worst terror attack, that Israel's ever known, on a day where close to 1,200 people were murdered and 250 people were taken hostage into Gaza, they chose on that anniversary to vandalize the office of the Jewish Federation. And when I think about that, I see the deep connection between anti-Israel and anti-Semitism, because the Jewish Federation that I work for is an organization that supports all the Jewish community, and not only the local Jewish community, but the Jews worldwide and other communities as well. And when you decide to target and attack that organization, you make the Jews into your enemy. And not only, there's a way to criticize a government and its policy without attacking or assaulting the people of that country or of that religion. And I believe that what they chose to do was to target the Jewish people and not only to criticize Israel. But as a citizen of the state of Israel, let me tell you, I have a lot to say about the actions of my government and the politics, like I'm sure any other American citizen has things to say about the actions of their own government. But there's a difference between that and assaulting the people. And I know that even if I don't 100% agree with the Israeli government, the people of Israel and the Jewish people are not to blame or to be assaulted. And I believe there's a confusion there of the people that were, that had my name on a sign or that vandalized my office.
Well said. Let's close with the final question. How things go last night? It was a big fundraiser on behalf of the Jewish Federation of Peoria. You were the featured speaker. Was it a night of celebration and success, I hope?
It was. The Jewish Federation of Peoria, like any other Jewish federation across North America, has started its annual campaign. They raise money to better support not just the Jewish community locally, but also the Jewish people worldwide, and of course to strengthen and support Israel through organizations and individuals that make it a better place for anyone that lives there. It was a wonderful evening. For me, it was great to see all my friends that feel like family from when I lived here in 2009. And it was just a remarkable evening that brought together a community. And there's nothing like the strength and comfort and support of a strong community around you.
Well, thank you for taking time to talk with us, Lior. I actually have one other question. Pronounce your last name.
My last name is Zisser Yogev. Lior Zisser Yogev.
Yogev.
Yes.
We got it down pat now. All right. Lior, thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you so much for having me. Toda rabah, as we say, and have a great rest of the day.
All right. Thank you. Very good. Thanks, Lior. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
And fascinating. We'll be right back. We have 35 degrees, and we'll be back after this message.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent? 1 in 260,000. The odds of this born racer having 157 career top 10 finishes in NASCAR? 1 in 125 billion. But every driver seeks the pinnacle of their achievements. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year? 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I'm NASCAR driver Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hey, we have a lot of breaking news, and none of it is good news. As a matter of fact, we're at the forefront of things. If you want news and stay up to date, right here is the place to be. FM 90.7 WAZU Breakfast with Roger and Friends. Dr. Gene Sidler. We have Mike Dentino's here and Terry Growy. And like we say, late breaking news, so stay tuned at the top of the hour, and we'll give you what we have. Thanks for being a part of our program on YouTube as well as FM 90.7. 35 degrees currently the temperature. News, weather, sports next. Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. It's the 23rd of October, and we begin with a look at the weather brought to you by Certified Public Accountant Matt Wall. Matt Wall has been involved in financial evaluations and tax returns now for over 40 years. He's available at 309-692-4030. That number again for Matt, 692-4030.
Frost advisory until 9 o'clock this morning, Roger. And then it'll be sunny and windy, high 58 tonight, low 33, and kind of cold all night long. Tomorrow, frost until 8, and then not so windy, sunny and 60. Partly sunny Saturday, high 62. Sunday, sunny and 64. Just, I mean, picture fall weather right now, and it's chilly out there. It's 35 degrees.
I just wish the wind had stopped. That's
yeah, the wind's going to slow down
right through you.
Yeah. It's damp too, a little. Anyway, 35 degrees now at the wazoo.
Okay, you got it. Losing a pet affects just about everyone, and the caring people at Peoria Pet Crematory know that. That's why they're available 24/7 to help you through the grieving process, offering several choices for care and remembrance. Peoria Pet Crematory. You can reach them at 309-713-1898. Now with our lead story, Mike Dentino.
Thank you, Roger. The Jewish Federation of Peoria held its annual campaign kickoff fundraiser last night. The featured speaker was Lior Zisser Yogev of Detroit. Zisser talked about the October 7th, 2023 massacre of close to 1,200 Israelis. 250 others were taken as hostages. Zisser described the death of her brother, who died while fighting these terrorists.
Illinois gubernatorial candidate Darren Bailey's son, daughter-in-law, and 2 grandchildren were killed in a helicopter crash in Montana. just within the last few hours. No details at this point, but certainly a tragedy. Mike?
Well, Senate Majority Leader Republican Senator John Thune said today that he'll introduce legislation to pay those federal employees who've had to work during the shutdown. Democrats say they'll introduce a measure to pay federal employees who've been laid off and are doing nothing. Apparently, they can't see the difference. Next week, Republicans will introduce standalone bills to pay troops and traffic controllers.
A Senate Democrat candidate is struggling to excuse his affection for the Nazi government of World War II. He's got this tattoo. He's running for U.S. Senate from Maine. He claims the tattoo on his chest is no longer representative of his political beliefs. Instead of having it removed, Plattner had the tattoo changed. Critics say doctors could have removed the offensive symbol using laser treatments. He got the skull and crossbones in 2007.
And Virginia Attorney General Democrat candidate Jay Jones is in more trouble. Jones is the guy who in 2022 suggested shooting House Speaker Republican Todd Gilbert and his 2 children. Instead of dropping out of the race, he apologized. In his latest episode of Outstanding Character, he was arrested for driving 116 miles an hour. A judge ordered him to serve 1,000 hours of community service rather than jail time. Well, he did the community service. Turns out he did it working for his campaign office and the Virginia office of the NAACP. A special prosecutor has been appointed to investigate the alleged fraud.
Hey, in local news, Peoria police have arrested a woman who was involved in a carjacking incident over in the East Bluff last Tuesday around 8:30 in the evening. The woman, identified as 31-year-old Courtney Garms, and a man jumped into an occupied car, stabbed the person with a needle before driving away without the occupant in the car. The car was found later, and so was Garms. She's in jail, and her buddy is not. They're still looking for him.
On the other side of the city, police apprehended Aurelino Hernandez around 1 in the morning Wednesday morning at Joe's towing service on Washington Street. Once spotted, he tried to outrace the officers and lost not only the chase, but the fight that followed. He's charged with criminal trespass and resisting arrest.
The city of Peoria has been awarded close to $1.4 million in state funding earmarked for reducing carjackings and auto thefts. The money will be used for vehicles, tracking devices, GPS data, cameras, drones, and other technology to get the bad guys. They'll also use the equipment to prevent title fraud used by car thieves. And that, Roger, is the news to use.
You remember a number of years ago they came out with a device that you clicked on the steering wheel. What do they call it?
The club.
The club, that was it. And Royce talked about that. He said, I bought the club, and unfortunately, I lost the car because the guy had the gun.
Gun beats the club.
Yeah, it sure does. Let's hear what WCBU has to say.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm June Delahunty. The Peoria City Council is set to approve a balanced budget for the next 2 fiscal years, 1 week ahead of schedule. At this week's brief special meeting, members had the first reading of an ordinance amendment that will keep stormwater utility fees flat for 2026 and 2027. Amendments added $2.5 million in revenue to the 2026 portion spending plan, while reducing expenses by $600,000. A vote on the budget is expected next week. Opening statements began today in the murder trial of a former sheriff's deputy charged with killing 36-year-old Sonia Massey in her Springfield home last year. The central question in this case is whether Sean Grayson acted in self-defense. Massey had called 911 to her home for help when Grayson shot her over a pot of boiling water on her stove. The prosecution told jurors Grayson killed Massey, quote, because he was mad at her. Grayson faces 3 counts of first-degree murder, 1 for each bullet fired. The trial was moved to Peoria County due to pre-trial publicity. The Washington City Council has approved establishing a new city leadership position, Deputy City Administrator. Alderperson John Blundy cast the lone vote against creating the position.
This is one of those, to me, that just kind of stands out right now. Is it's a nice to, it'd be nice to have this, but I don't see it as a need that we really need right now.
The deputy city administrator will automatically become the interim city administrator if the city administrator leaves or is fired. It's harvest season, and Governor J.B. Pritzker worries about Illinois soybean farmers because of President Trump's tariff-driven trade war with China.
It's abominable that the federal government is providing $20 billion to bail out the Argentine economy. That has allowed Argentina to now trade their soybeans with China. And we're talking about replacing almost all of what Illinois would have provided.
China bought $1.4 billion worth of soybeans from Illinois last year, but hasn't imported any in 2025. Instead, it's buying from Argentina, which just got a big bailout from the Trump administration, while Illinois farmers struggle to find a new buyer. I'm June Delahunty.
All right, let's get into the world of sports, and a lot of breaking stories here. It's a big story. What do you have there, Dr.
Yeah,
Simon?
it's an important story here regarding sports gambling, sports betting. Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, is going to have a news conference at 10 a.m. Eastern time, so that's 9 o'clock by the time we'll get off here, Central time. To talk about arrests in their long-standing investigation into sports betting. This actually started 3 or 4 years ago, and a number of players at the college and professional level have already been arrested. Some have even gone to trial over betting, and some of them even over betting in their games against the point spread.
These guys aren't making enough
in their
money.
games. Yeah, that's what you wonder. But yeah, this investigation is continuing, and breaking this morning, a couple of well-known sports names. The coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, Chauncey Billups, was arrested. He is allegedly involved in a gambling scheme. And a star player for the Miami Heat, Terry Rozier, former player, I think, at Louisville, where he played his collegiate ball, is also arrested for betting on games. And it's expected that the FBI Director Patel will possibly name even more, that there are some reports that as many as 6 players either are arrested or will be arrested here in the immediate future regarding this latest phase of this investigation. And it's ongoing because I think it probably involves a greater number of players, maybe even beyond basketball, maybe in football and other sports. Although basketball seems to be the sport that you can manipulate maybe the easiest if you're one of the players that's on the court a lot, just by missing a shot in a key situation.
There's fewer players, so it's
only 2 refs.
Right? Doesn't take a lot more effort or coordination.
And they manipulate the point spread, not so much that they lose a game on purpose, but if there's a point spread of 5 points and you can miss a shot here and there to make the point spread a little bit closer, that your team may still win it, but you have satisfied the gambling guys that are paying
these are probably RICO charges.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Getting back to the regular sports report here, the NFL starts Week 8 tonight with a Thursday night football game between the Minnesota Vikings and the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are 3.5-point favorites. The game is out in Los Angeles. Chicago Bears, winners of their last 4 games, now 4-2 on the season. They'll play Sunday at noon in Baltimore, a beautiful city of Baltimore, against the Ravens. Ravens a heavy favorite to win the AFC North at the start of the season, but now they're just off to a 1-5 start, partly due to a somewhat difficult schedule and a lot of injuries. They are still a pretty good team, though, and they are 6.5-point favorites against the Bears. College football this weekend. Illinois moved back into the top 25. They're number 23 this week. They play at Washington, University of Washington, at 2:30 p.m. Saturday on the Big Ten Network, and both teams are 5-2. Washington a 4.5-point favorite. Notre Dame is idle this week. They are up to number 12 in the rankings. They will play next Saturday, November 1st, at Boston College. And baseball, the 121st World Series gets underway tomorrow night with the Dodgers hosting the Toronto Blue Jays. That game, actually, that's the other way around. I'm sorry, the Dodgers at Toronto.
At Toronto.
The Blue Jays actually had one more win in the regular season than
So
the
they got the
Dodgers,
home
and
field
they get the home
advantage.
field advantage, potentially 4 games out of the 7 if it goes 7 games. So this game will be in Toronto, 7 p.m. on the Fox Network tomorrow night. NHL games tonight. Chicago Blackhawks are at the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the St. Louis Blues are hosting the Utah Mammoth in a game tonight. Superior Rivermen, they won their first game last Saturday night over the Quad City Storm 5-1, and they'll play a home game both tomorrow night and Saturday night here in Carver Arena against the Fayetteville Marksmen. NBA got underway this week with games starting Tuesday. The Chicago Bulls played their first game last night. They won 115-111 over the Detroit Pistons to start the season 1-0. And Bradley's 25-26 basketball season gets underway for real on Monday, November 3rd. That's their game against St. Bonaventure in the Field of 48 basketball all-day marathon.
48 teams?
I'm sorry, it's the Field of 68. That's just the name of the sponsor. That's a sports.
But it's not that number of teams.
That's not the number of teams playing on that date.
All right.
But they will have games starting at 7 a.m. Bradley's game is at 10 a.m. and the games continue all the way till midnight.
Can you imagine having to get up to play a game at 7 in the morning?
Yeah, if you're going to get on national TV, they think
You
it's
do
worth
it,
it.
yeah.
And Bradley's game,
You're
as I
right.
say, is at 10 a.m. I think that's our time, which would be 11 a.m. out there on the East
Our
Coast.
time is your time.
Well, it's a different time zone from where they're
Okay.
playing. They enjoy getting the national exposure, although, again, it's a pretty good team they're going to play. A lot of teams will start their season by playing cupcakes, as they call them, and getting some easy wins early on so you can kind of get your rhythm going with your team. But Bradley gets a pretty tough game to start the season
Well, I'll say.
with St. Bonaventure.
The Bonnies, as they're known.
And then they play an exhibition game tonight in Carver Arena.
That's gonna be a
against the
tough one.
St. Louis Billikens. St. Louis is picked number 2 in Atlantic 10. Atlantic 10
I
is
think
maybe it's comparable to the Missouri Valley, and possibly maybe they tend to usually get more than one team in the NCAA tournament at the end of the year, and so maybe it's possibly even a notch up from the Missouri Valley. So it's a tough league, and so to be picked second, they do expect them to have a pretty good team, but we shall see tonight.
You
I
going?
think Bradley's going to have a pretty decent team.
You going to the game?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
He
part of
never
the-
misses.
part of the
No
season.
one has seen more Bradley games during their lifetime than Dr. Sidler.
Probably,
He actually, you probably
Travels
don't
the
want this to
globe.
be known, but I'll share it anyway, or an exclusive by, what is the magazine you used to get at the cashier, the Globe, and
National Enquirer.
National Enquirer.
Yeah.
Great.
This guy, when Bradley would go on the road, would call his nurses and say, "Don't schedule me on November 20th because I'll be in Des Moines for the Bradley Drake game."
Most of the time, it just involved taking the afternoon off because
You
they were
drove there?
drivable distances.
Okay.
In the conference, all the teams were within 3, 4, 5 hours.
How'd you
But-
drive to Las Vegas?
But we've had to fly to
Yeah.
some of them. Yeah, we did take trips. Been to some of the wildest places, Portland and San Francisco and.
You went all over.
What
You
a
even
thing.
went when they
Pepperdine
played
and-
in
and,
Jamaica. Didn't you go down
it
to
wasn't
Bermuda?
Jamaica. We played a couple of times in the Bahamas.
In the
and,
Bahamas.
St. Thomas,
Wow.
a tournament in
What a
St.
fan.
Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, he's a
Cancun.
fan.
He's a Bradley fan.
Yeah, you know what? I think he's seen more Bradley games than Jim Molinari, the coach.
I'll bet it.
Because the Bradley employees don't ever stay there for a lifetime. They move on and
That's right,
coaches
but-
and all
but
that.
you
so
were
I'm sure
there
I've
for-
seen more
yeah.
than any of the
Yeah,
past
sure.
coaches. But Dave Snell might be the one I would always point out has probably been to more games than I have.
Well, it would be close.
Yeah,
I
I
would
would
tell
know
you.
You're a
that.
lot older than him. You started a lot
like
more.
3 years.
No, I don't.
just 3
I don't
years.
think he's a lot older.
Oh,
I don't think
I
he's
thought
a
he
lot
was a
older.
lot younger.
Yeah, he was
yeah.
3 years behind me.
okay.
after I
Yeah,
left.
that's what. See, there you go.
Wow.
That's the kind of information you get. And I'll tell you what,
Nobody cares
I have to tell everybody. I have to tell everybody, and we're going to expose what went on in the studio a few minutes ago. So stay tuned.
I don't know.
I had a friend who got arrested for exposure, but that's another story. You guys were talking about something that goes back decades ago, and that's the knob on the steering wheel of your car. And I remembered that. I hadn't thought about that in years, and you called it SOB, did you?
Oh yeah. Well, it's a process called SOB that you don't see anymore because almost all cars now have bucket seats in the front.
Yeah, you can't.
But when you had
can't
a
sit next
bench
to
seat,
somebody, yeah.
there was always like that. You take the hard
You can
left-hand
still buy
turn.
them on Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
There they are.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah,
Tell us about the SOB.
SOB.
What's that mean?
Well, SOB was it stood for slide over, baby.
Or sit over here, bitch.
Yeah. Oh! Ow!
Oh,
That's
oh my God.
We don't want to expose that.
No.
Did that bring him quick, Doc? Did that work for you?
Yeah.
They're called spinner knobs now.
Spinners, yeah.
That's not a name I was
I think
familiar
that's-
with back then.
I
but
think that's the name that they've had for forever.
Maybe, yeah.
Was
Another
but I mean
definition.
they were known by a variety of other names, trucker knobs.
Little spinner.
So I didn't know truckers used them. That was.
I didn't
Well,
know that either.
I've seen I remember seeing bus drivers with them on because you got that long flat
Well,
wheel
yeah,
and you
and again, before
give
power
that
steering,
long
especially.
that
Because the
long
knob
swing.
did turn.
No,
Oh, yeah.
it was
the knob
loose.
spins.
Yeah.
I grew up driving it, but my sister had polio, and she had to have one on our cars so she could drive because she only had one hand that she could.
That was
she could use.
usable. Yeah.
Yeah, so I grew up with those.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to find out who the clown was that decided to put that glove box in the middle between the driver
I know. It took,
and
took her off
because
your lap. Yeah.
you
I
knew.
wonder why you can't order a bench seat anymore. You know, that-
Well, it is. It's
It
really
is.
well. I think it probably has a lot to do with the fact that now we have seat belts and airbags
Yeah, how
and
would
all
you get
that.
a harness?
So
How would you get a shoulder harness if they're sitting
for the middle, for the
for
front
the
middle.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
it could
why
be
they
that
slid over next to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would put the seat. Of course, back then we didn't have seat belts.
Well,
And I think
Well,
one
that's
of the
true.
reasons they eliminated that to get rid of the kids, a small child that you would put between your
In the middle,
the
yeah.
wife
Well,
and
yeah.
the driver.
I mean, I remember, I always marveled at the fact that my mom would stick her right arm out there when she had to stop fast. Like that was
yes.
like that was
That
going to
was the
stop the
seatbelt.
child from going
gonna
through
save
the
your life.
windshield.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I mean, we had, growing up in our family, we had kids all over the car. We
Well,
had
yeah, 10 of you.
We had a
Jeez.
49 Ford for many years, and that car had a myriad of. It was only a two-door, first of all.
Oh, jeez.
But the thing of it was, the passenger side door had a bad habit of you couldn't lock it, and at certain times it would just fly open. So I can remember, taking left-hand turns, and all of a sudden I'd be sitting.
Lost a kid.
Yeah, well, my sister Deirdre was hanging onto the armrest, dragging her feet on the ground.
Are
as we
you
went
serious?
Oh yeah, she rolled right out, but had the presence of mind to grab the armrest. And my mom was having like
that's
a
an
fit
unbelievable
because
story.
she
yeah.
trying to pull the car over, and hopefully,
That's
okay,
crazy.
keep holding on, Deirdre, because otherwise she'd have rolled over with the back wheels.
That is a crazy story.
So yeah, we had for several years there was a rope tied between the window on the front and the window on the back to hold the door shut. That way, of course, that led to another problem was all the kids had to get in from the driver's side door, which was on the street.
See now,
So here my mom's trying to shepherd kids into the car without getting them hit.
And now you've got to spend 20 minutes bolting in a car seat.
Oh yeah.
Well, I
And, it's
know
got to
it,
have
yeah.
all these restraints. It's a
Well,
pain.
you have to find all the hidden hard points
Yes,
that are stuck in the
yes,
right in the crease between the back seat and the back.
And you got to have an inspector.
What year was it that seat belts were introduced and then became
They
mandatory?
were optional on cars as far back as the 40s.
Right, but I think
Okay.
66
And
or
sports
so.
cars in the mid-50s had them as optional. But now the federal requirement was 1968, but some
68.
states instituted requirement laws earlier than that. I think Illinois was 1964. They had to be at least installed in cars sold in Illinois.
Right, you didn't have to wear
Yeah,
them.
you didn't have to wear them. The actual mandates to wear them
Really?
came in the 1990s.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
Interesting.
must have to install them, but you didn't have to.
Right, you
wear
didn't have to buckle them. I mean, it's,
Right.
Okay, well,
it
that
kind
makes
of
sense.
like, well, you ought to wear them. It's like, no. And that was just a lap belt.
Yeah,
I mean,
man-
the
man-
shoulder belts
Yeah,
didn't
that's
become
right.
mandatory
Just two pieces
until
that
much
clicked
later.
there,
Yeah, mandate laws started in 1984 with New York. Gradually, other states followed, and then the federal mandate was 1996.
Yeah.
So we didn't grow up with them, right?
Right.
But now, do you feel? I mean, it's just really normal now, isn't it? Do you feel
Yeah.
kind of weird if you
My
don't?
kids always did. I usually don't remember to do it until I'm driving.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Until you hear,
you know,
until you hear
I-
the warning?
Yeah.
No, then I'm moving fast, and I'm realizing, hey, if I had an accident, I could be hurt.
You don't have a ding or a noise that
Well,
goes
yeah,
off. if you
Cars
don't-
are too old for that.
You or your car?
No.
No, now the one my wife drives is a newer car, so that one.
I can't
that
get-
one I have to do.
I
it right
can't get
away
3
because,
feet
yeah,
down the
it-
street
it
without
has
the thing
an
starts
annoying-
screaming.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Mine dings.
Our cars
Yeah, I
scold us if we don't put them
I
on.
hate that.
But I mean, when my kids were growing up, it was kind of the rule that I told them the car won't start till you get your seatbelts on or get into your car
Oh, really?
seat.
Oh, I didn't
So
know.
it's-
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
You
well,
have that kind.
it would. That
but
was
you
just
told
kind
them
of the.
that,
I
yeah.
told them that, and so as a result, even all
Far
of
as
them
I know, we are.
habitual seatbelt users.
Why-
I thought you had some feature running or something.
No,
Did,
I
did you
don't
wear
know,
you
yeah.
wear a seatbelt? You're comfortable.
Well,
with it.
let me
You have to.
tell you my favorite story about the front seat. I had a car, wonderful, and I was a student at Bradley, and it didn't have a divider
Right, it was a bench
in
seat.
the front seat. Well, I picked up a girl I was dating after she got off work at Montgomery Ward. You remember where it was
Sure.
in downtown Peoria?
Monkey Ward.
On Liberty Street and Adams.
Adams.
And I picked her up, and I said, you want to stop anywhere to get something to drink? She said, no, you can just take me home. And I said, well, why don't we stop for a little while? And
There you
she
go.
said, okay. So I pulled into Peoria Stadium off of Lake Street. It was a nice kind of secluded area.
tiger, you.
And it was about this time of the year. And, we were getting acquainted with one another, and I heard a noise. And I looked up, and I thought I heard something outside, and no, I had the window cracked because you need a little ventilation, otherwise, you're
Steamy.
it gets a little steamy.
right.
Anyway, I heard the noise again, and next thing I know, a guy stuck a gun in that opening on the passenger side. And that was, I'm so happy I didn't have a glove box, because she scooted over on me. That was the closest we ever had
Oh, yeah.
in our
Oh, cool.
relationship,
Yeah.
thanks to the point of a gun. And he said, give me all your money. I was a Bradley student. I said, I don't have any money. And I handed her to give him, through the window, my billfold, which had $1. He opened it, he said, that's what, gave the billfold back. And I said, the only thing, he says, surely you have more money. I said, the only thing we have is a woman's purse.
Oh, you threw her under the pie. That was I never got to it.
And he said, no, I don't want the woman's purse. Now, that would never happen today.
Well, probably to go with his shoe.
And I said, well, I said, let's talk about it. So he went around the corner, side of the car. I'm getting excited because it was an exciting time. And came over, I got out of the car, and I said, you obviously are hard up for money, or you wouldn't be doing something. He said, I just got out of the service, and I need money. I have a wife and children to support. And I said, well, let me give you a suggestion where you can get some help. And he said, does this gun bother you? And he threw it down on the ground. Now, people tell me who know about guns, you don't throw a gun down. So it must have been a fake gun. But do you think I was in a position to argue the point? Well, just then a car comes down into the parking lot, and I thought, here's my chance to run out and say, help, I'm being robbed. And I thought, no, this guy's being genuine in his comments. So I said, I'm not going to do it. Good thing, because it was his buddy who pulled up, and he said, any problem? And he said, no. So the guy left, and I gave him my dad's phone number. Didn't tell him it was my dad, because Dad was overseer of the Poor Township Relief Office, and they provide stipends and support and so forth. I said, call this number, and I think it was on a Friday, and they're not open on weekends, and I gave the office hours and everything else, and he'll help you. He said, okay, thank you very much. he said, go get back in the car, and I'll see that nobody bothers you. And so I got in the car, and here's the kicker to the story. So we leave, and she said, Roger, do you know how much money I have in my purse? I said, no, I don't. She said, I just got paid. I had $48 in my purse, and you wanted to give it away. And I said, well, it was that or our lives. What do you think your life is worth? 48? So we drove to her house, and she opened the door, and I said, should I call you later? She said, don't call me ever.
She's not about to give anything away to you. You're not getting anything, Raj, from her.
Oh.
Isn't that a terrible story?
Wow.
But it's true. So I went home and I told my dad about it because I live at home.
Yeah.
And he said, describe what he looked like. I said, Dad, I'm not going to rat on him. And I don't want you to arrest him because I said he needs help. And what's he do? He goes to the police department to describe the guy and so forth. And they said, well, we'll look into it. So I was kind of disappointed in my dad.
Well,
So did we talk about the steering wheel thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
But I didn't have one of those things on my steering wheel.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't have a glove box in the center of the car seat.
Well, you know, it's that's done more to promote chastity probably than any other feature on a car. Is having
That's an awful big word.
well,
but,
I don't know.
I know what it means.
They just sat next to you. You weren't.
Hey, cars still have back seats.
Yeah,
Well, they
the
still
back
have back
seats are
seats.
still there. I mean,
But see, the thing of it is, though, you can't turn quickly and have them slide into the back seat with you.
well, yeah, but nothing happened in the
Seems like
front seat.
people
Well,
figure out a way.
I wouldn't say not nothing.
yeah, there's a.
I
yeah.
mean, that's one
Well,
of that's one of the great things about
always-
older pickup trucks is there are a lot of pickup trucks that are still being built with bench seats.
Oh yeah.
Are there?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Trucks may
Like
be the
pickup
last.
trucks?
Yeah, pickup truck may be the last bastion of
The last one.
front seat hoochie cooching.
Yeah. Hey, let's do the headlines then this day in history. And we have not one, but I think we have three because we missed a couple of days. So let's bring you up to date with And we know, ladies and gentlemen, hard work produces results, and that's why we talk about Realtor Kathy Reynolds. Very successful because she works hard to get results for her clients seeking to sell and or buy their next home. You can learn more from Kathy, a brilliant real estate. Her phone number 309-696-2162. The number again, 696-2162. Mike?
Well, Roger,
Yes.
the Jewish Federation of Peoria held its annual campaign kickoff fundraiser last night. The featured speaker was Lior Zisser Yogev of Detroit. Zisser talked about the October 7th, 2023 massacre of close to 1,200 Israelis. 250 others were taken as hostages. Zisser described the death of her brother, who died while fighting the terrorists. The shutdown continues after Democrats again blocked Republican senators' motion to reopen the government. That makes 12 times Republicans were unable to put federal workers back to work. Democrats refused to negotiate unless the Republicans meet their demands for health care subsidies. President Trump said there would be no discussions on anything until Democrats first agreed to allow federal agencies to reopen. The latest vote was 54 to reopen and 46 to stay closed. It takes 60 yay votes to restart the government. Senate Majority Leader Republican Senator John Thune said that today he'll introduce legislation to pay those federal employees who have had to work during the shutdown. Democrats say they'll introduce a measure to pay federal employees who've been laid off and are doing nothing. Next week, Republicans will introduce standalone bills to pay troops and air traffic controllers. A Senate Democrat candidate is struggling to excuse his affection for the Nazi governments of World War II. Graham Plattner, running for the U.S. Senate from Maine, claims the tattoo on his chest is no longer representative of his political beliefs. Instead of having it removed, Plattner had the tattoo changed. In local news, police have arrested a woman who was involved in a carjacking incident on the East Bluff last Thursday around 8:30 in the evening. The woman, identified as 31-year-old Courtney Garms, and a man jumped into an occupied car, stabbed the person with a needle before driving away without the occupant. The car was found later, and so was Garms. She's in jail, and her buddy is on the lam. On the other side of the city, police apprehended Aurelino Hernandez around 1 in the morning Wednesday at Joe's Towing Service on South Washington Street. Once spotted, he tried to outrace officers and lost not only the chase, but the fight that followed as well. He's been charged with criminal trespass and resisting arrest. We follow that story with news that the city of Peoria has been awarded close to $1.4 million in state funding, earmarked for reducing carjacking and auto thefts. The money will be used for vehicles, tracking devices, GPS data, cameras, drones, and other technology to get the bad guys. They'll also use the equipment to prevent title fraud used by car thieves. And Roger, that's it for news at the bottom of the hour.
You know, interesting about car theft. I remember, I don't know what year it was, Florida was the first to, I believe, pass a law preventing carjackings through concealed carry. And when drivers started whipping out guns, that dropped carjackings in Florida by like 50 to 60%.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be better is just give everybody a gun? And, you know, for $1.4 million, you could buy a lot of guns.
Right, right. Well, I mean, that could be a mixed blessing in some respects.
Well, I realize that. I'm trying to be a little funny.
For, you know, you also have the
bomb.
people that want to open up their glove box and wave around their Glock when someone cuts them off in traffic.
Yeah. In the meantime, the guy that he whips out a grenade and lobs it into your open passenger window. Well, let's get into. Go ahead. You were going to
There's a
answer.
reason why they don't let me put a .50 caliber machine gun in my grill with a red button on my steering wheel.
Yeah, I was wondering why in Marshall County they called you Batman. Because you had that Batmobile driving around town. Anyway, let's take a check of the weather brought to you by Spoon River Home Health. They've been around since 1993. Wonderful people providing home health care, and they're locally owned and operated, and you can reach Spoon River today or any day at any time, 24/7, 309-245-0723.
Frost advisory for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It'll be sunny and windy, high 58 today. Tonight's low 33. Freeze morning overnight. Tomorrow frost until 8, and then not so windy, sunny and 60. Nice fall weather. Currently, it's still kind of chilly. It's like 35-ish degrees out there.
You know, I noticed you were watching, you looked up to the clock. Do you remember when you were teaching your children how to read the clock? Mm-hmm. Now, when the big hand is here, now the little hand is for hours, and you would have them.
No, kids today can't read clocks.
Oh, no.
Can't
Yeah.
My wife
Really?
did, but no, I don't.
Everything's digital now.
Yeah, you don't teach kids can't.
Well,
tell time.
we all have clocks on the walls. I mean, I don't think there's a studio in the world that has as many clocks as we have. As it turns out, nobody reads them.
3, 4, 3 or 4 of them in here. 3 of them.
Yeah.
4.
All right, hey, it's time for this day in history, and we've been skipping that, unfortunately. So
We'll get caught up.
we will have you catch us up on. Let's see. We'll start with Tuesday, October 21st. A famous person was born. Your job is a famous person was born
In America?
on October 21st, 1917.
In America?
In America, yeah.
How old would they be?
Born in
They're
South Carolina.
90s.
Well-known
Not
guy.
you, is it?
So it was not a president, because I don't
No.
think we've ever had a president
No,
from South
was not a
Carolina.
politician or an
Not a
elected
politician.
official.
Was it an entertainer?
He was an entertainer.
Was it Will Rogers?
No.
Carolina.
they'd be
Now you need to narrow the entertainer down. What segment?
movies, TV.
No.
Singer.
No.
Dancer.
What'd you say?
Comedian?
No.
No.
Not a dancer. An actor.
No.
Talk show host.
No. You've named everything except what we play
Radio.
every now and then.
Radio host.
No.
So, TV newsman?
Well,
We've said
what is this?
music.
Okay, now you got it.
Okay.
A musician.
Yes, it was a
I
musician.
thought we said that.
I didn't hear it if you
It's
did.
a singer.
Singer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does it
But
matter
not
what kind of musician?
Please don't question the quizmaster.
Well, I just think
It's
I
very
do.
rude.
I know. Sorry, Roger. What, does it
Victor
matter?
Borga?
But can you raise your hand? I mean, everybody's.
Okay, raise your hand.
That's one of the reasons I don't hear anything.
No, Victor Borgia didn't
No.
have a southern accent.
No, was a musician, well known,
very
and he
Yeah.
had a nickname that really identified who he is.
Buddy Holly.
And the nickname was a
Fats
nickname
Domino.
of a famous baseball player and sports announcer decades ago.
Well, I was going to say Jerry Lee
Be
Lewis.
Dizzy or
There you
Skippy
got
or
it. Yeah, Dizzy.
Dizzy?
Yeah.
Seriously? Dizzy Dean.
Dizzy
No,
Gillespie.
no, it wasn't Dizzy Dean. It's a musician.
Dizzy Gillespie.
Dizzy Gillespie.
Yes, Dizzy Gillespie.
Okay.
He blew a trumpet, didn't he?
Yeah.
What was his real first
He had
name?
those
Yeah,
cheeks that pouched
But
out.
he had all
Blew
the
out,
muscles
yeah.
in his cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really weird looking.
Okay. Well, you're not exactly
Well, no, I mean,
I don't know what his
he
real
blew his
first name
face
is.
Roy
apart.
Rogers.
He blew his face apart.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was his first name? Blew
Dizzy.
his face apart. His first, no, that was his nickname.
Oh, something like Ralph or
You're
something.
right. It says to non-jazz fans by his puffed out cheeks and his trademark what kind of instrument?
Trumpet.
Trumpet.
Trumpet,
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Its horn bent
Did
up
he blow out all the
at
muscles?
a
Is that what happened?
45
Yeah,
degree
Yeah, he
angle.
probably damaged the
yeah, the collagen
muscles in the
muscles.
cheek, and they ended up being very lax, very stretched out. Yeah, there's a picture of Dizzy Gillespie.
Yeah. Wow. That is.
But
that is
because
jazz
I'm looking
guy,
that up,
yeah.
I also found his first and middle name. So
Well, go ahead and give it.
Yeah, I
It
know
was
he
John Burks.
That's exactly right.
Gillespie.
Mhm.
Oh, he had a society, didn't he?
At,
No, he wouldn't have fit in.
how,
Birch?
at age 20,
Burks, I thought John
RKX.
Birch. Okay.
children, at age 22, who was he, what band was he playing with?
Age 22.
His first name was the name of a vehicle you called for a ride.
Limousine? Limo?
No,
Taxi?
no. Well, you're close. What's another word for taxi?
Cab? Oh,
Yes,
Cab Calloway.
Cab Calloway. Very good.
well, now, according to a bio I'm looking at, that was not his first professional job.
No, I didn't say it was first. I said he was 22. See, you guys are talking when I'm giving clues, and then you make a buffoon out of me.
Well, we tried.
You don't have. All right. Well, the other stuff's not important. Okay, we'll go on to the next question. Oh, you need to get this one.
This
This
be
is
Wednesday? Thursday.
October 22nd, 1962. What important event, dangerous event, took place?
It was a
Oh,
bombing.
that would be the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yes, but what did we do?
Oh, we embargo. We
yes.
put
we
an embargo
invaded,
on Cuba.
A blockade by
yeah.
President
Kennedy.
Kennedy. Yeah.
JFK.
Mhm. In response to, and why did we do that?
Bay of Pigs.
Because the Soviets put
Missiles
Surveillance
on Cuba.
our
Film showed the installation of missile sites in Cuba.
intercontinental or.
And who was the
continental
Soviet
missiles.
leader who
It
did
was
that?
Nikita Khrushchev.
Very good.
Good old Nicky.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't the Bay of Pigs.
No.
No.
That was-
Kennedy had been shown photographic proof that the Soviets were building 30 ballistic missile sites in Cuba. Within striking distance, of course, the United States. In secret meetings, Kennedy and his advisors agreed he had three choices. Here are the choices. Negotiate with Russia to remove the missiles, bomb the missile sites in Cuba, or implement a naval blockade of the island. Kennedy chose to blockade Cuba, deciding to bomb the missile sites only if he needed to do further action. And I think we all kind of remember that, don't we?
Yeah, in the end, what they did was they agreed to take their, I don't remember if it was Nike or missile batteries that we had located in Turkey that were actually scheduled to be taken down anyway. But we took our missiles out of Turkey, and they withdrew all the missiles from Cuba. So.
Okay, the next question. On this date, August 23rd, and I remember it for October 23rd.
You said August.
You said August.
Well, I say a lot of things to throw you off. But on the other hand, also the synapse didn't. Any rate, October 23rd, the year 42 BC.
Oh, jeez.
No, you'll get this. This will be very quick. I'll make it very easy for you because you all look haggard.
Merle?
Who died?
Julius Caesar.
No.
Yep. Oh, no.
No.
Was it a Roman ruler?
Somebody the Great. Catherine.
No, it's BC. So
I don't know what he did. He might have run a gas station. I don't know, but was not Julius Caesar.
It would be a camel stop. It wouldn't be a gas station.
Hannibal?
I know you know it. I wasn't there a character that Popeye fought?
Oh, Brutus.
Brutus is right.
Right.
Wasn't that the guy that fought Popeye was Brutus?
Yeah, that was the name of that big.
There was Brutus
guy.
and there was Bluto.
And Wimpy.
And Wimpy, but Brutus was one of them.
And olive
Brutus,
oil.
He was a leading conspirator in the assassination of Julius Caesar, and he died. And who killed him?
His wife.
Was it a
And
guy
Brutus,
with two names?
Brutus actually asked him to kill him.
What?
He asked his killer to kill him.
Why?
That's the name of the guy. Well, we'll read that when you get the answer.
Oh, well, it certainly wasn't Caesar.
Was it?
I never heard of this guy, but he never heard of me. So
Yeah, we might not have heard of it either. What are his?
starts
initials?
with the letter S.
Sam?
No,
Samuel?
it'll have to be like
Roman-
It's,
Samius or
Yeah.
Semele.
It's, you know, back then they didn't have Charlie or
That's right.
or Terry or anything, or
or like
Gene.
Samson.
Certainly
Sam-
didn't have
Sam-
Roger.
Samtucus or something
yeah.
like that.
You won't get this, I'm sure.
Okay.
Strato.
Oh, yeah.
Does that ring a bell?
Yeah. Avarius was his last name, I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
Played a violin.
And the death of Brutus followed the defeat at the Second Battle of, starting with the letter P. Right.
Peloponnesian.
Pineapple.
Peloponnesia.
Philippi.
Philippi.
2 years before Brutus had joined Cassius Clay. No, that's Cassius Longinus, or Ginus probably, in the plot against the Roman dictator Julius Caesar, believing he was striking a blow for the restoration of the
Republic.
Roman
Empire.
Republic, right.
Right.
However, Caesar's assassination plunged the Roman world into a new round of civil wars with the Republican, there they go again, the damn Republicans, forces of Brutus and Cassius vying for supremacy against Octavian and who? What other famous name in the days of
Marcus
Aurelius.
Mark is right.
Mark Antony.
Mark Antony, right. After defeated by Antony at a battle of Philippi, Greece on October 3rd, 42 BC, Cassius, then what happened to him? He killed himself. On October 23rd, Brutus' army was crushed by Octavian and Antony at a second encounter. At that point, Brutus gave the order to end his life. Can you imagine giving the okay, somebody kill me. I'm ready.
I've been in those situations.
Antony and Octavian soon turned against each other. In 27 BC, the Roman Republic was lost forever with the ascendance of Octavian as Augustus Caesar, the first emperor of Rome. And now you know the rest of the
Now
story.
we know the
Did you study this stuff in high
I
school?
never took a history course, but I did a lot of reading for preparation for the quiz show. Never got too much into Roman
What was
history.
that quiz show? What was the name of that quiz show?
The College Bowl.
Oh, that's right. You were on TV.
Electric College. Hey, Roger, I do have one update on the Bradley exhibition tonight, and maybe I can, if on the way to the airport tomorrow, since I'm not here.
That's right. You're going to be gone tomorrow.
I might call in and give you a summary recap, but it's not going to be a real game like a regular game.
Really tonight?
No, the coaches.
Are they going to get bats or something, or whatever?
Well, it's going to be a series of 5 separate 10-minute scrimmages. The Bradley people have referred to it as 5 quarters, which sounds like that is
only 10 minutes.
East Peoria restaurant, the 5th quarter. But it's going to be different than a real game. It's just going to be 5 10-minute scrimmages, and it'll allow each team to play different combinations of players, maybe run different offensive and defensive schemes. Really just a preparation for the season rather than a game that I think that the fans are going to be satisfied.
But they're keeping score.
Well, they will keep score for each 10-minute segment, but they're not going to.
So it's going to be 5 different games.
It's going to be 5 10-minute scrimmages. Yes. Now somebody will total up all 5 scores and say, St. Louis won or Bradley won, but it's not really going to be an official game with a score at the end like that. Well, I because they have kind of released that information, people are mostly going to know, but there's going to be some people in the stands that are expecting a real game and are going to see this. And no, I think fans would much rather see a real
game,
40-minute game, 2 20-minute halves, which is the way they play in college basketball. But that's what they've decided.
How many timeouts do they get?
I'm sure they've probably decided that, maybe 1 per each 5-minute segment. I don't know. But they probably actually decided
to
that.
me, it sounds boring.
Yeah.
I mean, if sports is about competition, this is, you're going to say, okay, that's the first quarter. What are we going to second quarter? And we're going to play with different players because that's the purpose of a scrimmage, is to see what each kid can do in a competitive environment. To me, it sounds boring.
I think there'll be a lot of action because each team is going to try to win that 10-minute segment of scrimmaging.
It'll make it tough for fans to boo the referees.
Which is your favorite part?
Oh, absolutely. I don't go. I want to boo. And there's a guy that I hope will be at one of the. He may have been banned, though. You know who I'm talking about.
Not sure who you're talking about.
Oh, he's the guy that made some bad calls, and
you're talking about John Higgins.
He had a roofing business.
Business in
and
Kentucky.
And they started boycotting.
Well,
his business,
he made some calls against Kentucky in the NCAA tournament and got them eliminated. They lost the game, and the fans blamed him for a couple of the calls.
Was his name Higgins?
John Higgins.
Are you sure that's his name?
That's who we're talking about. Yes. Okay. He's a handsome guy, and so a lot of people would call him Baywatch.
Oh, I didn't know that. Really?
That was his nickname. But they retaliated by by putting online reviews for his roofing business, and they were all like negative reviews.
Yeah.
Like, don't use this guy. He's no good. His jobs are terrible. He's a cheat. And so he had to take his website off the internet, and I think he continued in business for a while. I believe he's retired now.
Well, I know referees make good money, and Higgins made good money because he even he was so good that he always did the Final Four, or
he did
the NCAA.
A lot of
what kind of money do these guys make?
Oh, 6 figures, I'm sure. Maybe.
For how many games?
It varies by the game, but in the Missouri Valley, they'll pay the lead official $1,000 plus travel expenses because you got to get them here, and then the 2 others get $750. At least that was what it was a couple of years ago. It may be higher now.
Yeah.
But these guys can do 3 or 4 games a week, so they could be making $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a week. And you figure that up. Now
You have to know a lot about basketball.
the
to do
best.
that?
Oh, you have to know all the rules. Very careful.
You couldn't. For one thing, you couldn't run the floor.
Do you have to run? Do you have to run the length the whole
Oh, they
time?
have to have to be
yeah.
in pretty good condition. Yeah.
You bet. And he
I
was
could
in
do it
good
once.
condition.
Yeah, he was. Most
Who
of
was
them
the
are.
guy, the black guy that worked at Bradley Games a lot and was very, very good?
Ed Hightower.
That was him, Ed
That's probably
Hightower.
who you're thinking of.
And he was outstanding official.
Yeah. There was a guy named Valentine that used to do a lot of, Ted Valentine, he did a lot of Big Ten games, and he was the official that Bobby Knight got mad at when he threw the
When he threw
chair
the chair
across
Yeah.
the floor, got thrown
And
out
that
of
was
the game.
Ted, and how about Rudy?
Rudy Valley or Valentine?
Yeah, it's Rudy Valley.
I think that was his long-lost cousin.
Yeah,
You have to buy your own whistle.
yeah. Mike, did you ever go to any Bradley games when you lived on Moss?
Yeah, we went to a couple just because it was a way to get out of the house and do something at night.
Yeah, you could almost walk to the Bradley
yeah.
games. I have.
Is that who you're thinking of, John Higgins?
That's him. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah,
For some reason, I thought it was different. Yeah, he could be a little smug on the smug. Here's a question for you, a history question. What Bradley fan was shot and killed after a Bradley game?
I know that.
All right,
McNair.
George McNair.
Derek? Who?
George McNair, the president of TPNW,
Oh,
was during the
McNair.
strike,
Yeah,
yeah.
and he was
Stuff
walking
going
home from, as I recall, the story in the Peoria Journal transcript, that he was shot and killed literally in his front yard at the corner of Moss and Sheridan.
Yes, they say a car came by, because everybody walked, he's walking back home from a Bradley game, and they say that the lights in the city, on that end of the city, went dark. A car drove by, gunned them down, and lights came back on.
Yeah,
What year was that, do you think?
50s, 40s.
yeah, in the 1940s.
1947.
And I knew his widow and
You
his
did?
2 daughters, yes.
I didn't know you were that. You're that old?
Well, I worked at a bank, and they had...
You know, you seem to have had a lot of jobs in your life. I don't know whether it was
hard to hit a
while
movie.
you were going up the ladder or going down.
Hard to hit a moving target.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, you know about Peoria history.
Yeah.
No question
It
about
was a
it.
beautiful home
Actually,
on Grandview
we're
Drive.
sitting with two, you what?
The McNairs had a beautiful home on Grandview Drive, and one of them still lives there. Two have passed, and I think the daughter still lives there. She'd be late 60s, and she still lives in the house. It's a beautiful house. They were always paranoid, very paranoid.
Well, why not?
After and they were a little on the as we say, the spectrum, I guess. Some of them they dressed in period clothes from the 40s and 50s, and I'm talking this is in the 80s. But they had a lot of money.
You dressed in the 40s and early 30s.
They had a lot of money, and in all the banks in town, and used to visit their money once a month and go to all the banks.
You know what we should do some morning, because that area of Peoria is rich in history, and High Street from Main over to Sheridan Road. The houses on there were allegedly owned by whiskey barons, were they not?
Right.
Many years ago. My good friend Chuck Greb lives in one of those houses, and he has decorated and remodeled and renovated that house that it looks like a museum inside. He's quite the art collector, and some of those houses are. There's one house on Sheridan. Once you get around the stop sign for motors going north on Moss Street, that I think had a horse barn or something in the
Carriage
back.
house.
Yeah.
Carriage house, yes, right. When you look at those houses, you think, even in your neighborhood where you grew up on Moss, those houses are just absolutely gorgeous.
Sid Ruckriegel lives in a pretty nice
He and Andrew,
house up there.
Yeah. There's some very beautiful old houses on Moss Avenue. And at one point, there were a number of them that had been converted either fully or partly into apartments for Bradley students, and some have stayed in small efficiency apartments. Others have been returned back to single-family homes. But yeah, I mean, the only problem is some of those houses went into states of disrepair,
Oh,
and
yeah.
as big as they are, a lot of
cost a
them
lot of
have
money.
just well, most of them haven't fallen into disrepair, but like there's a beautiful Frank Lloyd Wright house
just
that
gonna
I think that one went.
That's on the corner of Moss and what?
Moss and Glenwood.
Glenwood, Douglas?
No, it's not
No,
quite
not
as far as Glenwood. I think it might be Institute. Or,
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's by the church, the
It's right across from the Westminster.
Westminster
Church.
Yeah,
Presbyterian
right
Church.
across the street.
Yeah, I
from
mean, I know when I moved back to Peoria about a year after I moved back in 2000, that went for like $160,000 or $180,000, and it's an actual documented Frank Lloyd
Frank
Wright
Lloyd
house.
Wright House, yeah.
But it needed a lot of repair. Now, to the great credit to the person or persons who bought it,
What's his name? Muir, Andrew Muir owns that.
he's done, from what I've never been inside of it, from what I've understood, is that he's restored a lot of the original Frank Lloyd Wright accoutrements that were there. I remember I walked by that house every day as a elementary school student, and thought that was just the most fabulous house I'd ever
Yeah,
seen.
but pretty modern looking or whatever.
Yeah, just a wonderful, wonderful piece of property with a coach house, the whole bit. If I was ever to buy another house on Moss, that would be the one
That
I
would be
would
the
want.
one you would buy.
Where was he from? Wisconsin? Is that where Frank
I
Lloyd
know
Wright?
he's
Yeah.
from, oh, really?
He started out Taliesin. His original architectural school was in Wisconsin, and he opened up a second one in Arizona, if I remember
okay.
right. I think that one's also called Taliesin West.
Did you like the design? I was never fond of his
I like
architecture.
I like that prairie school
You
design.
did? Okay.
Yeah,
Is that what they call it?
yeah, it's like very long, low roof lines, and
Is that how they got the name Prairie Alley?
I don't know.
I don't know.
That could be.
It may be. Well, it was also the simplicity in building.
Yeah.
Very efficiently built.
Mission, it's like a lot of mission style.
Yeah.
It's as an individual, Frank Lloyd Wright was kind of a son of a bitch.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I mean, he was
You
killed
don't
by
have to get huffy
the
about
husband
it.
of one of his lovers, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I hadn't heard that. Are you sure of that?
No, you're doing it all wrong.
Right.
Well, I think that was how he taught people when he was in his architectural school.
All right. Well, I gotta say, I really enjoyed this so much.
I'm glad we had this talk.
I am too. Everybody's been so nice. Well, have a good trip. Where are you headed, Dr. Zidler?
To Las Vegas.
Las Vegas to do a little gambling. I understand you're meeting J.B. Pritzker there. You guys are going to play blackjack.
Yeah, we're going to have a one-on-one blackjack.
Yeah,
and-
for $1.4 million. You think being with him might help your winnings a little? You know what? The news media did not explore this further. They should have said, where did he play and who did he play with? Was it off the main line? Was it in a private room? A lot of questions went unanswered and how that was carried out. Anyway, we're out of here. Have a great day, everybody. Remember, God loves you, and so do we.